What kind of stands out in your mind about that operation?
It was the second time we went into that area. The first time we went into it, we got into a big gunfight. DJ had gotten shot in the plates. On the first time, PC-130 gunship was shooting the roof that guys were under. They couldn't get off, throwing grenades, PKs. Everyone's going to sleep, lights are out, and this boom goes off. And when I say boom, I thought our tin blew up. One memorable op was up in the Konar. We did some really good work that night. We walked up that valley going after a specific target, and it was a gunfight all the way up for like 5-6 hours, and things were just clicking. We were going after the target, but we ran into problems and we dealt with them. I remember at the end of it, I looked at my TL, I was like, are we going there? He's like, you haven't had enough? No, this is what I signed up for.
Welcome to Mic Drop, the podcast where relevancy is irrelevant and we don't give a shit about your feelings. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's both an honor and a pleasure to welcome my next guest to the podcast. He spent just short of 18 years in the United States Navy, all of which with Naval Special Warfare, and 7 of those with the infamous Naval Special Warfare Development Group. He's got a Bronze Star with V. He's got multiple JCOMs and Presidential Unit Citations. He is the co-owner of GBRS, which is Global Battlefield Research Solutions, as well as a founding member of Tribe Skates, which is an art therapy-based skateboard company with the primary mission of helping Gold Star families. He is Jake Gyllenhaal and Bradley Cooper's love child with a NASCAR racer's name. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Cole Fackler.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you and the GBRS crew are busy as shit, and I know you're here for another event, but I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us. I have to ask, what is your EDC go-to gun? Actually, the whole loadout, like for a normal day.
EDC, I mean, it depends on clothing. Right now, my favorite is the Spectre Comp 365 XL. I shot that thing recently and got it, and it shoots like a dream. I mean, it's thin, carries 12 rounds.
Is that 9 mil? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you a proponent of the red dots or night sights or any lights on it or anything for your personal carry?
On EDC, I love red dots. I mean, any pistol.
Really?
Love red dots. Yeah.
Did you roll the red dot operationally?
I didn't.
Yeah.
No, it was just coming around, and it was a hard transition. Like, I liked iron sights. People were like, no, try this. Like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Nope. Once I switched to it,
it's
awesome.
Are a lot of guys using them now operationally? Can you say?
Yeah, I mean, like most gun companies, like they're coming with that option now.
Yeah,
whether you want it or not.
One thing I'm always curious, like for me, and granted, this has been a while, but I always preferred the Trijicon Reflex because there's no battery, and it's the tritium, it's always on. It lasts 100 years and whatever. Do you know of a pistol red dot or tritium sight company that has that same technology, or are they all the long range battery options?
I know Hollow Sun has some, what's that? Self-charging.
Yeah. Like solar?
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Shit.
Solar. And some red dot, like rifle red dots too.
Yeah.
Or solar and recharging. Most of their life cycles, I want to say battery-wise, around 9-10 months, leaving it on mid-power.
Yeah.
A lot of questions we get, too, are like, what do you prefer, Leupold DP Pro, Aimpoint, Acro, SIG? Honestly, it's on the end user. There's different eyesights, offsets, dominant eye, not, but I mean, I'm a big proponent of it.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get comfortable switching over to it? Because I'm right there with you, like having always shot with iron sights or night sights. For me, I was like, man, it's just too much going on.
It took a significant amount of time training with it just in the day.
Yeah.
And then you bring in the night vision and passive shooting.
Yeah.
Which is a thing.
Yeah.
It took a while, and two, some of the offsets on Glock angle, pistol angles via SIG, and how they show up in your eyesight where you draw. There's different preferences, but try and kind of stay well versed with the different groups we train.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite group that you've trained thus far within GBRS? Call some other people out.
Yeah, there's some. We trained HSI team in San Antonio this last January.
Oh, really?
Their culture is like being in SEAL teams again.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, like they have kind of this unit symbol, and it's kind of this underground thing that it's like their little culture and group, and like those guys are amazing. Horry County, down in South Carolina, those guys are great.
Yeah.
And you can really see when teams gel together and they've created that bond.
Yeah. Do you ever work with groups that you're like, holy fuck, how are you guys carrying guns?
I'll say they're just less
Maybe.
trained, or they're not full time.
Yeah.
It's not that, holy fuck, are you guys not
like
carrying
foreign
guns? But you mean foreign or?
Yeah, I mean not like foreign special forces where you're
Okay.
like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean it's just part of it. Unfortunately, with the training, they hit the bare minimum calls. Like
Yeah.
the bottom of the rank doctor when they graduate, still called a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm tracking.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite non-U.S. Spec Ops group that you've worked with? Or I guess who do you respect the most that you're like, man, these guys are fucking legit. I wouldn't want to go against them.
I mean, all those guys, but the UK guys, I have a lot of time working with them, and they are impressive. But I mean, I didn't get a lot of exposure. I mean, the French, the Grom, the Italians, the Australians, the South Koreans, like all of them, hardworking, super talented guys. But I mean, I got the most time with the UK guys, and those guys are impressive. I almost learned the hard way. You can't joke about the Queen.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Like they are ready to take their kid off and start fighting.
Get the fuck out! Really?
I threw out a passive joke one time. He's like,
Nope,
you don't go there.
That's to me, I can respect that. I think that's actually kind of cool.
Absolutely, that was the first and last time I ever made that joke.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's not like here. I mean, I'm assuming they bust the prime minister's balls, but the Queen is like your mom, right? Like you just don't
joke too much about that.
Really, because I mean, here it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, pick a fucking president. Like there's memes and jokes and deep fake videos with him sucking cock or what. I mean, like there's a ton of crazy shit.
The family.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good on you, England. Nice work.
Yeah.
What was your go-to skateboard, or in this case, I guess maybe surfboard as a kid growing up? Did you have like that's my jam model-wise?
I grew up surfing on shortboards. I started surfing when I was about first, second grade.
Oh, wow.
Naturally small anyway, so a 5. I think my first surfboard was like 5'7". My parents instilled at a very young age I had to earn everything I got, so I worked all the way through second grade. I remember it. Like I had to have my grades, and every quarter I would get like $25. And
really?
Go to the surf shop. My board's on layaway and get it, and finally got it.
That's awesome.
And, but yeah, shortboards.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite childhood memory?
There are a lot.
What comes to mind first?
This one. I grew up swimming, competitively swimming. I was the only child, and for whatever reason, my parents were okay with me chasing hurricane surf on the East Coast.
Your parents sound
that's
pretty
when the surf
cool.
came up. Any East Coast surfer knows that.
Yeah.
And so we were down in North Carolina, and there was this pier, and the waves were breaking like 3 rows out. And to get past the second row, you had to jump off this pier. It was like 30, 40 feet. I'm 13 years old. And my dad's like, so what are you going to do? I was like, well, I got to jump off there. He's like, okay. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It sounds like your parents were pretty badass parents.
Yeah, they were.
Still a good relationship with them?
Yep.
Yeah.
They live about 5 minutes away from us.
Oh, no shit. That's awesome. On a normal day when you're in town, what is your typical morning routine for the first 2-3 hours of the day?
Wake up at 5, get some coffee, head to the office, work out 6 to 7, head back home, link up with the wife, get the kids ready for school, drop kids off at school, head back to the office, and take care of whatever chaos is going on there or not. Get home, depending on 6:37, dinner, hang out with the kids, put them to bed, and try and get some time with the wife.
Yeah. Do you, workout-wise, is there a particular methodology that you stick with, or?
I've gone around the gambit on, you got to have 25-inch biceps to just functional strength, and and you get injured and hurt yourself, you can't do that kind of stuff. We've been doing a workout program, I say off the record because now it's a actual subscription workout program, but we've been doing that workout program now for about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
A guy named Vernon Griffith, super well known, super talented, human performance coach that, everyone from Michael Phelps to NFL athletes I'll reach out to and try. So he runs our programs, and he's great at the mobility aspect, but, the small muscles that you need to continuously strengthen. And we're always throwing our backs out, our necks out, and he keeps us moving.
Does he work with the former command also, or?
He does not. He's worked with NSW in a lot of soft units, but he's in our office full-time, Monday through Friday. So, full-time on staff. And
so does he do all your programming? Like, you just show up and he's like, this is what you're doing today?
Yeah, so he runs all the programs now through something called Train Heroic. And it's on our website too. And it's what it's created too as a community. So guys that, share the similar injuries can relate to it. And it's kind of not only kind of a talking board, but a community, and it's good. Yeah.
That's awesome. I know, when I first came in, it was the late 90s, and like back then it was, you grabbed a Muscle and Fitness magazine and did, chest and tries, back and buys, legs, day off, and it was like there was no auxiliary stuff, there was no mobility stuff, and guys were constantly tearing rotator cuffs, pulling their fucking groin. Like, it was horrible. It was like you'd go for a run, swim, run, and then you'd, lift like you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was just stupid. But it's really neat to see the progression of knowledge base that exists within, especially the special operations community. Through, it seems like CrossFit was a hell of a catalyst. Love it or hate it, I think it did play a big role in kind of springboarding into special operations units, at least as far as a mentality goes, to work on more functional based stuff. But diet wise, do you prescribe to a specific program, or? I'm
the worst at eating. I usually eat about 8 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah.
Snack on
chew it
something.
down.
Yeah. I don't follow the macros. I did do a bodybuilding thing in my younger days.
Yeah.
But I try and eat something that's all organic or natural and not overeat, but I'm terrible doing it. Don't look at me and follow my diet. Don't.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite guilty pleasure?
My nickname is Phatty, right?
I didn't. Well, I see that in your Instagram handle. Are you a fat kid at heart?
I am. Yeah, I am. Sweets.
Were you fat growing up?
My mom is still a dental hygienist, so like sugar and all that stuff. They tell everybody and tell these jokes about how I used to hide candy wrappers under my pillows. They'd find them, and so
sounds like my kid.
Yeah. Mint chocolate chips always a good one. Dark chocolate, Skittles. I don't know. Yeah.
Man, that's priceless.
Yep.
And I guess, back to the morning routine, when's the first time that you eat, or do you just whenever? Like sometimes it's first thing, or like, doesn't sound like you pay real close.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't really eat. And it's kind of, I guess, what people call intermittent fasting. I don't really eat or do anything. Might have a protein shake mid-morning.
Yeah.
May have lunch, may not. May snack, may not. And wait for dinner.
Yeah. So it's kind of fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, we've gotten a little bit better on eating during lunch, but I'm not a model person.
So, where does the nickname Phatty come from then?
So, what people don't realize is during the holidays, you actually get a break at Bud's. So, in between second and third phase, I got to go home.
Came back and like, who's this guy?
My mom fed me, and I didn't move, and I came back about 20 pounds lighter. And DJ have been together since Bud's. He looks at me, he's like, Jesus, Phatty. And it literally stuck ever since. When we checked into Team 10, I broke my leg. I was weighing 245 at one point.
Oh, wow.
Lost enough weight to where I was down to 165 and couldn't lose the name.
No shit. Oh, that's a trip. That's fucking Navy for you, huh?
Yeah.
What are the two key components for canine success? That's effective training and proper nutrition. Fueled by Team Dog brings those two components to your family and best friend. The perfect nutritional balance that results in a higher mental acuity, energy, overall vitality, and even an improved appearance. Every product you will find in my company's store was born from the battlefield and not from the boardroom. Let my life's work help you become your dog's hero. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Norfolk, Virginia.
That's crazy.
I did not move very far away.
And you're an East Coast team guy the whole time, huh?
Entire time.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What was growing up there like, both just kind of family dynamic wise, as well as being so close to such a heavily influenced naval city? Was there a correlation with your dad or anything, or what was that like?
No, both my parents went to a local college there, ODU. My mom's brother was a SEAL in Vietnam. Some of my parents' mutual friends were in the military. Some were SEALs, and that's how I met some of them.
Oh, okay.
Had that influence.
So you had an uncle that was a SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were you close with him at all growing up?
Yes and no. It's her only brother, but oldest sibling. And he was kind of in and out. Just he didn't live locally.
Yeah.
Had a few other kind of mentors and SEALs at that time that I was like 12, 13, 14, and kind of took me under the wing a little bit. And one actually, when I finally decided I want to sign up, he put on his khakis and went to the recruiter with me.
Really?
And he was at Development Group.
Oh, shit. Wow. That's
What
year was that?
2002.
Wow. That's wild, man. Did you talk with your uncle much about any of his experiences, or was he pretty closed-lipped?
He was really, really closed-lipped. There are some pictures of him rescuing one of the Apollos.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. But I couldn't get anything out of him.
Yeah. When you decided to join, did you get any input from him then? Was he at all more interactive with you? Or?
He was excited for me.
Yeah.
I think he knew the adventure I was getting ready to start.
Yeah.
9/11 had just happened, but the Iraq invasion hadn't happened.
Yeah.
But, he was excited for me. He was supportive.
Yeah. Have you talked with him much since then?
Yeah, we see each other time to time. He definitely wants to catch up, and he's excited to hear, some of the stories I can tell him. My mom has this old school photo of him on a sub somewhere, but when it was on the surface. I went by the fridge one day and looked at her. I was like, "Where'd you get that photo of me?" I looked back at it, and she was like, "That's not you." I thought it was me. I was like, "When did I take it?"
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild, man.
We look a lot alike.
I never knew I was on a submarine. What the fuck?
I avoided those things like the plague.
Yeah. That's got to be really cool. Putting myself in his shoes, seeing your nephew, especially in the time that you were in and what you did and accomplished, that's got to be pretty awesome, having been a Vietnam frogman and see one of your family members doing that. That's pretty cool. So you grew up surfing and skateboarding a little bit. Were there any other sports that kind of dominated your childhood at all?
Swimming. I swam competitively year round.
Did you start early doing that?
Really early.
Yeah.
And my parents had me in swimming just purely so I didn't fall in the water and they didn't have to worry about me drowning. And they gave me a lot of opportunities across the board on any sports, music, anything.
Yeah.
I was the only child. And my dad really wanted to provide what he didn't have. And so they gave me a lot of opportunities, but swimming was a year-round thing.
Was that with a USS club?
Yeah, a local one, but traveled and did all that until I was almost 15, had shoulder surgery, first one, and found out that practicing 7 times a week, doing doubles, there's a thing called women.
What are those?
Yeah, hitting puberty in high school. And I did a few other things, but I played soccer, baseball, kind of the seasonal stuff. Yeah.
What was your event in swimming?
Sprint, 50, 100.
What was your best 100 time? Was it meters or yards?
Yards,
like
49.
49.5. Yeah. And were you a sprinter, a 50 sprinter as well?
Yep.
Like a low 20s?
Just under 21.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's quick. I swam too.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was kind of the jack of all trades and master of absolutely zero. Uh-huh. I was just kind of like, hey, we need somebody to swim the this event. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll do it.
But how much did that help going through buds? Like you didn't have to worry about.
Well,
any
no.
of
So here's the irony with that is that I'm from Iowa, and so I had never been in the ocean. The first time I'd ever been out in the ocean was at Buds, and so every swimming experience that I had, I'd never been in the surf zone or past it. Mm-hmm. I'd never swam in open water, not with a crystal clear black line on the ground, so I couldn't guide for shit. And I never swam with fins either, so I actually got rolled for swims in third phase.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I went to state and swimming, and I was a strong
Just doing
swimmer.
the zigzag.
Yeah, I couldn't guide for shit, and wearing the fins, having not worn them at all, and having swam so much without them, we never used even like the little cheater fins or anything. I don't know if you guys did, but for me, like it fucked my ankles up bad, and I also pinched my sciatic nerve right before. I was actually up at Laguna during the land nav phase, and so after that, once I injured myself doing that, I failed everything after that, and swims just was the first thing that I failed 3 of. But
was that the first time you saw the ocean?
No, I'd seen it before. Like we'd gone to Florida on vacation, like to fucking Cocoa Beach for like spring break one year, and I'd been to California, once, maybe twice. But I never was in it,
I was just curious. I always hear these stories about, guys going through buds or whatever the first time they see the oceans and they show up to buds.
Yeah. Or like dudes at Benning, it's like the first time they've ever been on an airplane, they're jumping out of it and like, holy shit. No, it wasn't quite that bad, but like I said, I never was out in the ocean, and especially like the boogeyman swims where, like swimming in the bay or out in the ocean at night for the first time. I was like, what the fuck, it's kind of creepy.
Oh, some of that surf, that was good. That was why I loved it.
Yeah.
People thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
We get surf tortured, and I knew there was like surf going off, so I just go out there.
That's awesome.
You got something on your nose, just by the way.
That's all right. My coffee flew up and fucking tried to give me a nose in.
If I get a booger, tell me.
Yeah, I will. I'll let it wait a little while. But were there any events or things that transpired during your childhood that were super impactful, either way, good or bad, that really stick out as being life-changing?
I think a couple. One was definitely shoulder surgery when I was 14. It was first kind of transition I ever had to deal with. I was definitely at the top of my game in swimming and on a projection. And that was definitely a life-changing at that age event on you're hurt and having to recover and surgeries, and is your dream or your vision going to keep going, or are you going to change the road and track that you're on? We're competing at a super high level. Like, I didn't remember it, but my parents told me like I was swimming against Michael Phelps and beating him.
Really?
Yeah. I was just naturally gifted, kind of those athletic kids. So that was definitely a kind of defining moment. But swimming, the entire progression of it, I had great coaches that would always push us to mentally, physically, your body, will perform. It's a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And so they're always pushing our mental performance. And I think that's what helped me, through buds, through today, that it's a mental game. Physically, you can get prepared, but
yeah, I think especially with swimming, it's a lot like or it's kind of like wrestling in that it's a very individual sport, and in a lot of ways you're kind of competing against yourself. I think swimming especially that way, but there's such a disconnect socially comparatively to every other sport that I do think swimming is unique in that it does require a certain level of kind of self-motivation and the ability to push yourself because you're isolated, and it's just you and the water and
no excuses.
Yeah, it's a tough sport, no two ways about it. At what point was there kind of that light switch moment for you in high school where you really knew this is what I want to do and join the Navy?
I didn't.
Really?
I grew up swimming at SEAL Team 2 pool.
Oh, really?
That was part of one of the pools that we would swim and practice at for, kind of summer season. Mm-hmm. I was kind of always around it, Little Creek and those bases. So I was always exposed to it. It was cool an idea in theory. At one point I wanted to be an architect. And, being a SEAL was something, just like being an undercover cop was something. I didn't really, I guess, have that aha moment until I graduated high school. I actually went and worked for my uncle. I was working construction during the day and on loading docks at night in West Virginia, believe it or not. And
is this the SEAL uncle or a different one? The SEAL uncle?
No, this is like basically my cousin's father-in-law, so I just kind of call him my uncle. But working 2 jobs, living on my own, 18, and I was getting in bad trouble. I wasn't getting in good trouble.
Is there a good trouble?
Yeah, it's like I told my parents I didn't want to go swim in college, didn't want to go to college, need a break like some of us do, and did that for 3-4 months and didn't really like how things were going. Always wanted to be an undercover cop. You can't be a cop until you're 21, and I was 18. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to try this Navy SEAL thing. And if I fail, because I did the MA Master at Arms thing in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So that was my A school. It was 2 weeks. It wasn't like the Armor 6-week or 6-month course. I was like, 2 weeks, I'll go.
Yeah.
And
that's scary.
Worst case, it was a plan that I'll be out in 4 years if I don't make it. And kind of do the undercover thing. But yeah, when I was in West Virginia, living on my own, it was just like my parents had instilled enough in me that I knew I wasn't on the right track.
Yeah. And how did they respond to that decision? Were they supportive or were they kind of mixed?
I'll say mixed.
Mixed. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, they were okay with it.
Supportive, yeah. I mean, it's just not something that they would choose for their only son.
Yeah. What do they think about it now?
They're proud.
Yeah.
I mean, they look back at kind of some of their friends' kids, how did they turn out, how did I turn out? But no, they're proud. I mean, they got 1 son and 4 grandkids.
Yeah, I can't beat that. You guys have 4 kids? Oh, shit. That's awesome. All right, so you end up joining. You go through the rigorous 2 weeks of MA training, and then you show up at BUD/S. Give us kind of the synopsis of the BUD/S experience from your perspective.
I was underprepared in the sense that I knew there was Hell Week.
That's about it.
That was it. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you crushing the swims?
Yeah, swims for me were it was like a relaxing time.
Like a rest day.
Yeah, most guys freaking out. Well, so part of growing up too, like my parents were in a triathlon, so since I swam, we would do these family team triathlons where I'd swim, Dad would bike, my mom would run or whatever. So I knew how to guide. Yeah. In open water. So it was that was kind of the easy thing.
Easy day. Was there a particular event or evolution that really kicked your ass?
I fucking hated running.
Yeah. Were you bad at it?
I wasn't great at it.
Were you
so many runs. I was like, I hope I hit a pothole and break my leg. Soft sand runs. But I mean, you're living on $1 million real estate on the coast of California. It can only be so bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. Did anything kick you in the nuts more than you were expecting?
It's hard to kick a 19-year-old in the nuts physically. I mean, I'd been through so much already in the sense of waking up early, performing, swimming-wise, that waking up early, performing wasn't bad. I mean, I grew up on the beach surfing. Don't get me wrong, BUD/S is extremely hard and difficult, but nailing down one thing, dealing with officers.
That's a big amen right there. Huh?
I asked Mike Sorelli, Nick Norris, those guys.
Yeah.
They.
I know Nick Norris.
Yep. Nick was my swim buddy the entire time.
Yeah. That's a trip. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So you go through BUD/S, make it through, never got rolled. Honor Man or Waterman's Guild or anything?
Nick held me back from making the Waterman's Guild. I know he's one of the most talented physical specimens ever, but he couldn't keep up with me swimming and held us back from that. But
oh, shit.
We won't talk about that.
Ain't that a bitch?
Yeah.
All right, so you finish up at that. What class was that?
247.
So
04.
What's that?
04.
Yeah.
Or essentially after SQT, we checked into Team 10 in 04.
Yeah. I showed up as an instructor there right around that same time. I think when that class went through, I was on convalescent leave almost the entire time with valley fever, but because I was at SQT in 245 and then showed up at Bud's at like 4.8 or 4.9 maybe. But at that time, you still went through. Did you still go through Benning for jump school? Or yeah, it's always a good experience. And then from there to Team 10, you said?
No, after Benning, we came back and did SQT.
Okay. Anything stick out in SQT that's worth mentioning, or pretty run of the mill?
The size of grizzlies?
Oh, up at Kodiak?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those things running all fours, they're still bigger than the car that you're in.
Yeah.
Or you go past their brush that they've broken and laid in.
Yeah.
Those.
Fucking bad news. So
what about San Clemente, though? San Clemente, the surf there.
Yeah.
And doing all the Jap Scully.
Yeah.
I remember this one night. I don't know why they had us do this. It was for some reason, but we had to go through the surf with our rucks, I guess maybe to make sure that we didn't have any leaks. But the surf was like 10, 12 feet. And I was having fun. Like, it was a blast for me, going through surf and that stuff. But I remember Nick and I getting through the surf, and we looked back, and I think there was maybe one other person. So we went back and would help, but that was a good time, and the size of lobster that you could catch.
Yeah. San Clemente is a neat place, no doubt about it. So after SQT, you check into Team 10. Yeah. You said did you say you broke your leg earlier?
Yeah, our first trip was to Shaw's and Fort Knox. We had the good 15-passenger van pool.
The van fight?
Oh, yeah, yep.
And you're a new guy.
At Knox, I broke my leg jumping out of a house window.
No shit.
Yeah. It's like a gear shakeout and just snapped it right.
Man.
Yep.
How long did that put you down for?
8 weeks, 12 weeks. Linked back. I mean, I was a brand new guy too. Linked back up with my team, 8, 10 weeks or so in land warfare. Picked right back up. Didn't miss. I mean, physical therapy and stuff. Remember on crutches trying to jump through VBSS training, just kind of keep up and learn. Yeah. As a new guy and just see. So
yeah. So with SEAL Team 10, what was your first deployment like with them?
There are a lot of unknowns, expectations. I mean, we were on a C-5 landing in Baghdad like we were on a fighter jet.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like, they're like, pack your bags, but have a bag ready. Like, we may have to, like, put the ramp down. You have to jump out and, like, have your shit on and go. And it's like, okay.
This is what, 05?
Yeah.
06?
Yep, 05. I was like, I guess we'll see how this goes. We did... it was a mixture of PSD for some of the, government officials, and at nighttime DA stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, with it being your first deployment as a SEAL, I mean, it sounds like from an ideal standpoint, like you kind of got right after it and got balls deep into the action, right? I mean, yeah. How did that affect you operationally? Like, was it received well? Did it... was there anything you struggled with, or was it pretty like, hey, this is fucking awesome, and you enjoyed it?
A mixture of everything. I remember on one of our first mission briefs, they're like, gave it to us, then probably half an hour later, they come back and say, it's too dangerous. I remember looking at my buddy, I was like, what the fuck do you mean it's too dangerous? Like, this is what we signed up for. Yeah. Dangerous is what we signed up for. So that was, again, I was 20 and wrapping my head around what they meant, and obviously now I get it. But that was kind of a letdown, reckless, being young, not fully understanding the picture. But the high level of things that we did, and the outcomes that, we're still searching for WMDs, right? Wanted to validate that. Yeah.
What area of Iraq were you in?
Doing everything out of Baghdad, BIOP, Green Zone, in between.
Yeah. Were you also looking for any of the card guys, or like?
I'm sure passively at some level we were, as a brand new guy, just trying to suck it in and perform correctly. But yeah, I mean, we were, but it was a good pace. I mean, you had a pretty good routine. You'd wake up, get a brief, kind of what was going on, work out, shower, get another brief, put your shit on and go. Yeah. Come back, eat, and repeat.
What was your collateral duty or job within the platoon?
As a new guy, I mean, just general assaulter,
Were
helper.
Were you in a department?
Comms.
Comms.
Yeah.
Did you go to comm school?
I did.
Yeah.
And JTAC.
Is that your favorite?
There are parts of it that are good. Yeah, for sure. Parts of it are good, but you get yourself into some positions where now you're like a warm blanket, and they want to keep you right next to you because you can control the aircrafts.
Yeah.
So it keeps you out from being up front.
Yeah.
So.
Were there any specific operations on that first deployment that stand out as being super memorable?
Yeah, we did this one out of Shark Base, and there were a number of teams that kind of came together for this thing. I think Jocko was actually, like, the amount of people that were on that app that I had no idea were on that app is just, I mean, it was amazing. I think Mike Sorelli was there, like a number of guys, and we all came together. You're talking about 4 different teams. Total number doesn't really matter, but a lot of people came together, and it was, effective and successful.
What was the general mission set?
I mean, just going after bad guys. Like, it was someone specific. I can't remember who exactly it was, but it was like 25 Humvees.
Oh shit!
Yeah, over 100 SEALs. It was like a 15-minute ride out off Shark Base, and DA at night. And just a logistical nightmare, but worked out great.
Yeah.
A couple gunfights. Yeah.
Did it? Were there any casualties on your guys' side?
No, none.
And how many KIAs or bad guys, I guess, were you going after? Do you know?
It was like 10. I think there were like 3 KIA. I think there are a few gunfights in houses. There are a few turret gunfights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, on the big scheme of things, we treat gunfights as just like it's a normal thing. But that was eye-opening. But 2 of those turrets aren't like they were now.
Yeah.
They're open-aired, no strike plates, just a 50 and
a
bunch of
bad
shells.
attitude.
Yeah.
Did you get any like get into any close range engagements with enemy fighters on that first deployment? No. None. Nope. Do you remember the first time that you did where it was super up close? Does that stick out?
Yeah, it wasn't until like 2011.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, we'll get there. So going back to that first deployment, it sounds like overall it was pretty successful. Statistically, do you recall how many missions you went on and kind of what the score was at the end? Just like this many missions, and we recovered these many. Deployments in were about 6 months, 7 months. I think it was close to 200 ops. Wow.
I think you almost average over 1 a day.
Yeah.
You'll do 2. The EKIA totals were, always in the 100 plus, sometimes 400 plus.
Wow.
Depending on if it was kinetic, what was going on. And those numbers continued to elevate through 08, 09,
yeah.
10.
How many deployments did you do with Team 10?
4.
4. Yeah. Were they all to Iraq, or did you do some Afghanistan?
All to Iraq. I augmented and went to Afghanistan in 08.
With Development Group, yeah. I guess before we talk about that, were there any close calls and or losses on any of those 4 deployments for you and your guys?
Yeah, Red Wing.
Yeah.
That was our sister platoon.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So you were there when that happened?
We were in Iraq. Yeah. They were in Afghanistan. Yep.
Yeah. Deployed at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah. What?
And as a comm guy, I was always the one that was supposed to get the news and the weather. And I went in that morning, and they're like, "Something's happened." Okay, like what is it? They're like, "Go get your platoon chief." All right.
When you heard it, what did that do to you? Like, what was your first reaction?
Couldn't really grasp it.
You knew those guys really well, right?
Some, yeah. I was, because you didn't know the names, or they weren't even giving us the names. in them. But yeah, like couldn't grasp it. We were getting very little information. It was still very dynamic. They hadn't found Marcus yet. You know, they were having a hard time getting guys up there. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and you look at the evolution of war and technology and how things progressed. It's hard.
Yeah. Would it be fair to say, or I guess an accurate depiction, that going back to work after hearing of that was difficult, or was it easier to focus on something other than that?
We're pretty good at compartmentalizing.
Yeah. To the detriment of most marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like compartmentalizing it and just, you got a job to do. I felt bad for my mom.
Just because she's so worried about you. Yeah. I can imagine. I know I put my mom through hell, you know, and I probably still do, honestly, but that is tough for moms, no doubt about it. Yeah. So with those, all 4 deployments to Iraq, so that's what, 05, 07, 08, 09, 10?
Yeah, I mean, 07 wasn't any better.
Similarly busy?
Similarly busy, turned over with Team 4, turnover out, Clark gets killed. Mike Day gets shot. Mike Day gets shot like 20 times, walks on the helicopter.
Yeah. You were there for that, or?
I wasn't there I was there in the jock, like, because they basically were doing a turnover with our sister platoon, but had done some with them. Then on that deployment, 2000, when Jason Redmond got shot in the face, and some of those guys up in Karma.
Yeah. And were you augmenting then, or no?
No, so I mean, that was our platoon at Team 10.
Oh, okay.
With Jason, those guys got shot. In 08, I was augmenting.
Were you there during that then?
Yep.
Yeah. I guess having heard that story from him, and you being through it, what kind of stands out in your mind about that operation? Like how do you reconcile it all?
It was the second time we went into that area. The first time we went into it, we got into a big gunfight. DJ had gotten shot in the plates on the first time. AC-130 gunship was shooting the roof that guys were under. They couldn't get off, throwing grenades, PKs. So we knew that area was shitty. On the second iteration, when that whole thing happened, we landed right on the X, just time didn't allow us to do it. You know, walk in, land on the X, and not much was going on, but like typical, air calls out that some guys left an area and walked into the field. And so the ground force commander rounded up a group of guys and said, go check them out. I stayed there. I was a comm guy. So this is where comm guys kind of get fucked. Like, I sit there with the ground force commander. And so, you know, they walk out there, and we've done it a million times. Yeah. Can't find them, or you find them and they're just laying there. And air said that they didn't see any guns, nothing. They just walked out there, and we're sitting there in kind of a cornstalk high field. And comms were distant enough, I couldn't really hear their calls. And gunfire just opened up. I definitely felt helpless, but, you know, they were able to handle what they needed to handle. As much shit that was going on. Glad none of them died. But yeah, that gunfight felt like it took forever. Yeah. And those AC-130 pilots, I don't know if they have any closer drops than they do from that night. I mean, they got flying crosses, like top awards, like amazing. I think they dropped like within like 5-7 meters.
No shit. Were you calling those in?
No, Jay was.
Oh, okay.
Jay Aliassen. He was the J Tech that went with that group, and he was calling them in while he was dragging Redmond back.
Wow. Were there instances as a comm guy where you called in air support in any type of similar situation like that? Like, were there times where you saved the day, so to speak, of calling shit in?
I wouldn't say calling shit in saves the day. Or I was never in a situation where calling shit in saved the day. I mean, yeah, I called shit in, but it was always part of a fire maneuver thing. And honestly, that night is why I was on that track to go to JTAC, and I was in JTAC then in 2007. But after that deployment, like I got it, and then when I went on the augment, I went there
for
JTAC.
That. Yeah. For those 4 deployments, did you yourself have any combat-related injuries or really close calls?
We're kind of in a helo crash, sort of.
Kind of.
I mean, a hard landing, crash, whatever you want to call it. They had to blow up the helicopter because they couldn't move it. That was definitely
What happened?
I don't know if it was a mixture of a brownout or what it was, but we hit super hard and kind of all got dazed, knocked out, and fell out of the helicopter. Actually, on that op with Redmond, and when he got shot in the face, I fell out of the 60. I was the last guy getting out of the 60. And fell out of it about 15 feet.
Really?
I had one of those big, Prick 115 or whatever, like 25-pound
heavy
radios on my
radio.
back. Yep.
And you fell out. Did it fuck you up?
Oh yeah, I was walking around, so it was like I'd already broken my leg. Already had 2 pins in that. So I mean, it was just kind of always continuously building on more and more impact on your body.
Yeah. Any close calls shots wise?
Yeah, I mean, rounds skipped around. RPGs flew by. 08, we did some other stuff in the augment and continuously just learning by the fire hose and tactics, equipment continuously changing. And what I learned in 08 was like, hey, like here's what's going on, or just so we were able to preserve ourselves.
Yeah.
Stop the rescuing terrorist objectives. Like, guys would just kick doors in and run right in. And we just kept evolving. 09, I mean, so like 07, there were some other deaths. 08, a few other guys got killed. September 11th, 2008.
When on the 07 deployment, guys from your task element, or?
Yeah, Jason Lewis from Team 10. Yeah.
What happened with that? And were you there when it happened?
Took some EFPs into a Humvee and didn't make it. Another guy took an EFP in his leg. But yeah, some guys got pretty messed up there.
Were you there on those?
They were in southeast of Baghdad. We were in Fallujah.
Oh, okay. Did you ever run into any close calls, IED wise? Personally?
Yeah.
Sure as fuck.
I got to go through the Rolodex. Yeah, we did. We landed on the Exus one time, went into a house that had nobody but a freshly poured concrete in the center of the room, following a trail out the door. We sprinted out of there before it blew up on us.
Did it blow up right after you got out?
We ended up dropping on it. We ended up dropping on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Because we landed on the X. They didn't know. We were able to get out of there before.
Yeah. That was with Development Group, I assume?
No, that was still at Team 10.
Really?
Yep. That was at Team 10. Later on other deployments, we had some houses blow up on us. And other shit like that kind of dazed us, getting in that big gunfight and that kind of stuff. But
with all the SEAL Team 10 deployments, is there an operation or two that stand out as being, if you were to think of it, say almost from a movie script standpoint, that kind of stand out as being that consummate textbook example of a SEAL mission that you guys went on that you could walk us through? And I'm going to ask the same thing about the other command too.
Yeah.
So, but I'm curious that, obviously there's a disparity between Team 10 and.
I'm trying to think. I think some people don't understand, like, you can't chase it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't chase epic gunfights, and gunfights aren't necessarily epic.
Were you in any that you would consider epic at Team 10?
No, I mean, I shot my first person, bad guy, whatever, at Team 10.
What were the circumstances of that?
We were coming up on this village, and a guy was running kind of laterally at us with an AK and a chest rack. And I just ended up getting the first shot off.
Yeah. Do you remember what you were carrying?
It was like a Colt M4.
Yeah. The good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. And I always attributed this one to skeet shooting.
Really?
Because I was leading them.
Oh, shit.
I'm not a big skeet shooter, but for whatever reason, my dad wanted me to start shooting skeet with him, and
yeah,
it was like that. Like,
so your dad saved your life on that one.
I'll give him that one.
What was it? One shot?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
You know where you hit him?
In the head.
No shit.
I will say that was luck.
Fucking Christ! How far away was he?
50 yards.
No shit.
Yeah, at night.
Dude, that's impressive.
Shitty night vision, shitty lasers.
That's really impressive, man. That's.
I won't call it skill. I'll call that luck.
Still.
Yeah.
I think it takes, we'll call it skillful luck
Skillful luck.
I, of course, with what I do for a living, I have to ask, did you guys implement with dogs at all during your Team 10 deployments?
Yeah, we did. They started coming online. Late 07, early 08. We had them in 09.
What was your first experience with them, or how did you receive your first experience with them overall?
Their capabilities on paper were great. The actual dogs and their training, if they were capable of doing what they did, it was mixed reviews. And, with tactics evolving, implementing dogs, like when's the right time, the wrong time, because they've been used the wrong time, and it's kind of like send them to their death.
Yeah.
And I know Jimmy Hatch and kind of heard his story with dogs, and they're great. They're a great tool. You just can't use them recklessly, and understanding a good time to use them and not.
Yeah.
I thought they were extremely valuable.
Yeah. Were there instances where you guys used them on operations where they made a significant impact that you can share? I
can't name a specific one in the instance of holy shit, thank God, because there were so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were so many. Once we got them online and understood how to use them,
especially at development group, but
yeah,
even with Team 10.
Yeah, even at Team 10, yeah, we actually gave one of our dogs a mohawk because it was so hot in Iraq. We had to cool them off. They're giving them IVs and right in between their shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Before these long offsets, so they wouldn't dehydrate.
Fucking mohawk. Was it a Malinois?
No, it was a German
Shepherd.
Yeah.
God, you have any pictures of that?
I will get some for you.
Dude, that's fucking. We gotta inject that into the show if we can for YouTube. That'd be great. Mm-hmm. Most people are familiar with kind of the two main capabilities of either explosive detection as well as the apprehension side. Were there instances, operations where they're up, snaking ahead and they managed to indicate on an IED or something of that nature where it changed the course of the operation?
Yeah.
Like a lot of
50-50.
Yeah.
If we run across something or not, and even everyone respected that, that dog, sits or gives a signal on it. Like, it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
countless times.
Yeah, countless times.
Yeah. How about on the apprehension side? While at Team 10, were there operations where dogs got some solid bites?
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember any of them?
I remember definitely a couple. Yeah. Some guys that are, bedded way back and in the targets and houses and that kind of stuff. And almost two in protecting the innocent people caught in between. But yeah, there are a couple daytime bites.
What were the circumstances?
I hate to say a typical gunfight, but a few times we're out during the day and they send the dog, and the dog gets on a bite and gives you enough time to address the threat. specific stories. There's some in '08 that during the augment and daytime stuff that we were doing. Not to give a lot of details, just sensitive, but they were utilized very well in multiple fashions of day, night, and different terrain.
Yeah. Were there instances where the dog, without any of the assistance of human beings, neutralized the threat by themselves?
Yep.
Do you, what happened? I mean, not asking tactics wise, but just like if he came in and grabbed, like where did he grab him, and kind of what happened once he engaged? I guess
the easiest way to describe it is that it looked like, you know how great whites flip up seals?
Yeah.
It looked like the dog was doing that with the body.
Oh shit.
Yep.
A big fucking dog and a small guy, or?
I'd say a medium-sized dog.
Yeah.
About 150-pound guy.
No shit.
I mean, like they're amazing.
Yeah.
Like, they'll jump over SUVs and hit somebody like a linebacker. Like,
where did he grab him? Do you remember?
Hit him on the inside of the leg, and then chewed on his neck.
No shit. Did the guy not make it?
No.
Yeah. Was that from the dog or from the guys coming in afterwards?
I mean, both. I mean, it got to a point where they had to neutralize the threat because it was going to become it was going to become damaging to the dog.
Oh, okay.
In the sense of like him hurting the dog. So
yeah, I gotcha. One of my favorite applications that, especially like if you see it on FLIR or overhead type imagery, is like the squirter control, busting out to a flank kind of thing. Did you get to witness any of those applications where a dog chased somebody down, fleeing out the back or anything like that?
Yeah, there are a couple of those. And dogs would hit those guys and basically just hold them until they wrap them up and address them.
Yeah. Did you ever get in a suit and do any bite work?
I've done it once, and that
was enough.
That was enough.
Yeah. That shit's intense, no doubt about it. Was it a development group dog?
No.
Team pin dog?
It was like one of those FAMs.
I got you.
You know how you get sprayed with like OC and it's like a FAM. It's like everybody needs to put on the bite suit and get a FAM. Yeah,
I got you. Did anything go horribly wrong with the dogs in any of those operations?
Oh, yeah, when they fucking nip at you. Yeah.
So you got bit?
Nipped.
Yeah.
Like you smell like a bad guy. It's dark.
Yeah. And pretty dynamic.
They get amped up too. Some of those dogs, you put that harness on them, it's a light switch, and they're ready to just ready to work.
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess how would you kind of wrap up or synopsize your time at Team 10 and then going on to Green Team and Development Group?
Being at Team 10 was humbling. Learned a lot. You know, I was 19 to 24. Got married, got divorced. Got to augment.
Was it that fast? I got married and...
Yeah, like isn't everyone's first like that quick?
Mine wasn't. Mine was 16 fucking years, but...
I was, I think 21 and whatever. Live, you learn.
Yes.
Learned a lot, like just trying to figure out what it was like to be a SEAL, what I enjoyed doing, how I can help be an asset to the team. And kind of just from my childhood of always wanting to be better and strive and be better. And now I'm not an individual sport, it's a team sport, and where can I go to become part of the best?
Yeah.
It just got to that point where I was comfortable where I was at and wanted to continue pushing my limits and add value and grow.
Was the augment with DEVGRU, was that the catalyst that made you want to go there?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you speak to that? Because I know that's a very common question that gets asked, I think, outside of our community to our community is the difference. How would you synopsize that?
It is everything that you dream about, being a team guy, at least to me. Everything I saw, the interactions, like you take a great team at whatever team, a great group of guys at whatever team you're at, and like that camaraderie. And you 10 times it at the command. It's a huge chance. Like you go from being a big fish in a small pond to being a small fish in an even bigger pond. You got to redo everything. It's like you had seniority. You're going to go to this place and most likely you're not going to make it through it.
Yeah.
You're going to be a small fish again. You kind of shoot yourself in the foot on advancing in pay rate. Since you leave a LPO or cheap position to go do that.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot ego check in the sense of if I don't make it through, I got to come back and now everyone's going to look at me or she's not used to failing.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was ready enough and really wanted to kind of go to the next level or at least be tested to see if I could be at that.
Sure. What stood out the most from a contrast standpoint, working with Dev Group guys at Team 10? Like, what was the biggest eye opener?
A lot of guys have asked me that question on what's been the most eye opening at switching those two, and like the biggest thing I think I've heard across the board is time management. I mean, that place is so busy and dynamic. You have to have your shit squared the fuck away. And it's always changing. Obviously, there's more funding, so there's more gear, but there's more eyes on you and more consequences. There's no room for error.
Yeah.
So you have to be fully devoted. I mean, it is a 365-day, 24/7 lifestyle. You're always ready and you're always training to be the best because you're just kind of in that role where you're the people that get called and you can't have an off day.
Yeah. Were you married at that time?
When I went through selection?
Yeah. I see the smile from the missus over there. I'm getting you in trouble right now.
That's actually the third one.
Oh, is that right? Well, I mean, at the risk of being cliche, third time's a charm, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I actually took 60 days of leave in Hawaii after my 09 deployment and before selection, and had linked back up with my high school sweetheart and rekindled that and got engaged right before selection, and we got married when I had finished.
How long did that one last?
6 years from start to finish. 2 beautiful boys, though.
Yeah.
Wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be on the path that I am today.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone through it.
Yeah.
As a father, husband, anybody.
Sure.
Learned a lot.
During selection, do you recall the attrition rate of how many guys started in your class and how many finished? Ballpark?
I want to say it's like 80% attrition.
No shit. To me, even for me, that's the most surprising, I think, is that, and, when I was at Team 3, like I remember seeing guys go there and some of them not coming back. And what I found myself being the most surprised by was some of the guys that made it surprised me and some of the guys that didn't make it surprised me. I'm curious from your perspective, what seems to be the thing there that does it? Because I'm sure you can relate, right? Is that there were probably guys even that you went through with that were pretty solid that just didn't make it?
It is so mentally stressful. Like, it is buds times 100.
Yeah.
It's physically, mentally exhausting and takes you to a whole nother level that you never thought you would reach.
Yeah.
And puts you under that pressure to make those right decisions. If you don't, you're not going to make it.
Is there a most clear-cut example of a mentally stressful position that you're purposefully put into that you could give us?
Yeah.
Is it the camping joke one?
No. I think in some of the initial parts of it, they put you into these situations where all eyes are on you. And they'll just mentally push you. Say mentally push you. They'll mentally fuck with you.
Yeah.
And see how you react.
How so? Like environmentally or they like verbally they fuck with you, or like what do they do?
Both. Yeah. Like they'll give you a standard and you think you did it and maybe they just don't tell you. They're like, you look at for critique, like, I got nothing. Or
this is like after a house run kind
of. Like kind of after a house run. So they'll say whether you did or didn't do something, or they just want to address you. But when they say, all right, move a little to the left, move a little to the right, and you're pretty much staying in the same spot, they just want to see how you're going to react and see if you're going to just mentally implode or not. It was just, you never knew where you sat, at what status. Some of your all-stars best friends, like, you're leaving? You're way better than I am. It was exhausting and physically too.
Yeah.
But mentally, it just, looking back on it now, some of the real world situations we got into that were mentally and physically taxing, like, it just made it so much easier when we're there.
Yeah.
Making those decisions.
Were you ever a green team instructor? Did you know any of them really well?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm curious, like, is that something you guys talk about, or like, you know, years down the road, you're like, hey, you were one of my green team guys. What was the fucking deal with this? I mean, kind of like the BUDS instructor thing. Was there ever any?
I mean, like in BUDS, like, you know, being a BUDS instructor, you have a role. You guys have playbook. I mean, I've never been a BUDS instructor, but I imagine. And you're just trying to see how the students react. And you're looking for those traits and characteristics that you want and you value.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there were a few, you know, instructors I asked, and they just were like, you know, like, I just had a role. It wasn't personal.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious from their perspective, though. Is it that black and white standard wise, or is there a lot of discretion that is allowed the staff to shit can guys or keep them?
No, there are standards you either make or you don't. There are personality traits that can be identified or questionable.
Is there a for example?
Not owning mistakes. I think we're naturally terrible at tearing ourselves apart over the littlest details, and, you know, we'll make ourselves mental midgets. But those little details matter and count, and that's kind of what I think makes a great person just in general.
Yeah.
Not to mention a team guy or soft member.
Yeah.
But kind of, yeah, not owning mistakes and kind of being arrogant. You know, I think we've all had guys in teams, and I'm sure people can relate that it's like they have that one dude that their shit doesn't stink. Like, they never take out the trash. They never pick up a broom. First one to leave, last one to show up.
Yeah.
It's kind of pretty identifiable once you start looking for that kind of stuff.
Are there instances from your class or any that you're aware of where that was the shit can deciding factor, where it's like,
Yeah.
no, really?
Yeah.
Like, even, hey, this guy's
You're not gonna be a
operational.
part of a team.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that regard, there would be some discretion then, right? I mean, it's like.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's some great all-stars that definitely didn't make it because of
that?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. What a shitty reason not to fucking make it.
Yes and no.
I mean, what a waste, I guess. You know, it's like you have that opportunity and you're solid, and you fuck it up by not pulling your weight on the stuff that operationally isn't a factor.
I think there's a lot of example. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but Aaron Hernandez is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Fully talented, had everything going for him, and you do that shit for what?
Yeah.
You're an individual?
Yeah. Are you a football fan?
Yeah. A little bit.
Kind of.
But, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of my only drastic comparison is like,
Yeah.
you don't want those dudes there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you make it through green team. Describe the feeling of successfully completing that and then going to a squadron.
It was emotional. I grew up, like I said, in Virginia Beach. I grew up surfing in Croatan, and I would always see the boats go through the inlet, and I would kind of see off in the distance the command. And I've been looking at that place since I was probably 12. So, yeah, it was emotional getting through selection, and then it was even more emotional when you kind of get past your trial period and fully get accepted.
How long was the trial period? 6 months?
It varies depending on your deployment schedule and, you know, doing those or not. So I think mine was like 6-8 months.
Is there a almost like commissioning or swearing in type ceremony that, hey, you made it? Mm-hmm. Can you share that?
Leave some of it kind of just the inner team. But it was celebrated like they do and welcoming.
Yeah.
For sure.
You get your ass beat at all?
No. Nope. Nah.
None of that.
But yeah, like it's a huge honor. It's a big thing that no one jokes about and takes very serious.
So it's like the queen.
like the queen.
Like the queen.
It's like the queen.
That's probably not the analogy the boys would want.
Yeah. Like, no offense, like very respectful, but yeah, it's.
Yeah. Is there a shred of anything that you can throw the audience that is kind of letting us inside without giving away the secrets?
Each team or group or whatever within there has their own rituals, and it's a pass of history and knowledge and culture and rituals of kind of the founding guys, and paying respect to it and never forgetting kind of how it started.
Yeah.
It's humbling. I don't know. Like, you imagine you had a room full of Tom Brady's, and they're welcoming you in.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Was it just you?
No, like, I mean, I think me and 4 other guys from my class went to that team, and so it was us 4.
Do they give you anything?
Yeah, they give you a patch.
Yeah.
I mean, like kind of the patch in kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's pretty much a biker gang, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, we were considered kind of the biker gang, but no, like, just again, the respect and that power. It's not something that's given; it's earned.
Sure.
And it comes with a lot of trust and responsibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there may be a beer or 2 involved.
Maybe. Yeah, that's awesome. What's the ramp up after that like? Is it like, two questions, I guess, or a 2-part question. When you finish selection and you go to that group, editors know you can cut this out if it's not. Can we say squadron, or you don't even want to say squadron?
We can say squadron.
Okay. So when you actually go from green team to the squadron, is there a difference between how that transition process goes and then the kind of acceptance swearing in ceremony?
Like the difference between checking in a green team?
No, from green team into the squadron, and then when they actually kind of accept you after your probationary period, it like when you go there, is it just like, hey, here's all your shit, and it's drinking from the fire hose, and you're kind of overwhelmed with stuff?
Yeah. When you first check in, it's like, here's all your shit, here's your team. You a little bit get read the riot act on keep up, or you ain't gonna be here long. Yeah. And here's our schedule.
Yeah. Check the watch bill, get a haircut.
Yeah. Or grow your beard.
Yeah. Are there guys at that point that make it through green team and then fuck up? I mean, I'm sure there's some, but like, is that common, or is it pretty rare?
Say 10%.
That fuck up and get shit canned?
Across the class, 10% probably.
Yeah.
And then, like, just because you make it in, if you're not cutting it,
you
ain't gonna last. I don't care if you've been there for a couple years. Like,
and that happens too sometimes. Yeah. Wow. From a gear standpoint, one of the things that's pretty kind of almost notorious, I think, is you hear a lot of kind of, I don't know if it's rumor mill shit or not, but that there's like X number of techs and people assigned to each guy to help them with their gear and their guns and everything. What can you speak to of that in terms of the resources that are dedicated to the individual operator?
There are resources that are dedicated to the overall squadron, or, troops or teams. I kind of reference it as kind of like a NASCAR pit crew a little bit. Everybody has a job to support the overall mission. Yeah. And there's backups to those. And it's to help time management, efficiency, capability. We always have to maintain training quals, and again, our performance ability, they just help accelerate that, or make it the most efficient. It's robust. I look back on it now, like, I'm so lucky. All of us are so lucky. We took for granted the infrastructure. You look at now running a company, like, we're literally just trying to model that infrastructure. Yeah. Like, all that support, so you can focus your time on, now with companies where your time's best spent to make that company most successful. Yeah.
Was there like any hiccups with that kind of initial, let's say, first year that you were there, where like you fucked up or kind of stepped on your dick or embarrassed yourself?
So my first deployment with that team and the team I was with was 2011, and it was still like very much go, go, go.
Can you say where you went?
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stepped on my dick. Yeah. I naturally don't say much because at a very young age I would say a lot and kind of put my foot in my mouth. So I try to be a little more measured when I do say things. So I'm naturally very quiet, and sometimes people mix that up with if I'm angry at them or something. So I try and minimize what I say or how I say it or when I say it. I would say I was definitely afforded a lot of opportunities in the air realm. Ultimately, you're at the beck and call of what the team needs, but I was lucky enough to be able to be supported and pushed in the air kind of direction, and I got to go down that whole rabbit hole of got to go stackline JM again in Yuma. That was awesome. But free fall JM, yeah. I mean, I had to go to static line JM, free fall JM, then tandem bundle, and
what is the command's thought process behind sending a guy with that amount of experience to a static line jump master course?
Because they need the qual for a free fall JM, and you couldn't skip it at that point.
Huh? How mind numbing was that one? It's like going to hazmat driver school.
I think I went through like 5 logs of Copenhagen, 2 weeks.
You still dip?
I just got off of it.
Really?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I got good, better. I just got introduced to
heroin.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a good swap out.
Yeah, like I've been trying to kick the habit for a while, and got to chew some gum or there's like this company, I swear I think it's called Canna Dips, but it's CBD pouches.
Oh, okay.
And it helps the joints feel better. Like,
really?
Yeah. Huh. No tobacco, nicotine. Like,
does it give you the same legit oral satisfaction? I know there's a million dirty ways you can go from there, but
good. It's good enough.
Yeah,
it's good enough to kick a bad habit.
Yeah,
yeah.
CBD, fucking that's wild. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Huh. I used to dip all the time too.
I'm like a week now that I've stopped dipping.
A week?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm surprised you're not shivering and shit.
I've just got the
shakes. Yeah. So the air route, I'm fascinated by that. That's one area within the SEAL teams that I checked the box, and that was about it. I didn't get any extra air or jump quals or time or anything like that than your standard guy. But to me, one of the most fascinating aspects of insertion, you can go a few ways with that one too. Earmuffs over there.
And it's over just as quick.
Yeah. So a whole lot of work for just a few seconds of fun.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? I'm fascinated by, from a platform standpoint, the capability that you guys in particular have with air. And I know some of the capabilities you don't want to speak to, which I understand, but I would love if you could explain like a hairy jump that you've been through, and kind of how it transpired.
Yeah, I had to go through static line in Fort Benning with a bunch of other students, and they went to push us out at like 2,000 feet on static line and 80 people at night. Sketchiest shit I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. So even parachutes, so that was brutal. But at the command wise,
like the hey-ho thing, I think is where it's the most fascinating, at least for me. Just knowing that, again, capability without saying numbers, but the fact that you can travel an awful goddamn long way under canopy, steering and using night vision, and like that's pretty fascinating capability.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of training, a lot of repetitions, a lot of jumps, and skill, no matter whether you're the guy that is the lead jumper or just the guy that have your parachute open.
Yeah.
And understanding emergency procedures and how things happen, because if we're doing it in the event we ever do it real world, it's one of those things you can't fail because it's already risky enough.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason we're doing it or not. It's a buildup of, I kind of reference building houses. You got to have a foundation before you start putting shingles on. Same with jumping. Understanding canopy control, how parachutes open, how your gear rides on night vision, and if you're carrying an SR-25 or a Mark 46 or jumping a tandem or jumping a bundle, real world, you're doing it for a reason. Can't fuck it up.
Yeah. Did you ever jump bundles in?
I have never done a real world jump, but I've done the whole tandem bundle. I ran the tandem bundle course for a while. It's like being in a 18-wheeler car crash every time that parachute opens.
Really?
It's brutal. It's just brutal on your body. The G-forces and all that.
Just going from so fast to
even hop and pops, like the tether snap and all that. Like, it's brutal. And throughout that whole program, I mean, a few guys have died as those systems have evolved. And even regular training jumps. There are things that happen, whether it's self-induced or malfunctions of the equipment, that guys don't make it on training.
Yeah.
My drive for going down the air route was I hate heights.
Really?
Are you not do you not get a little fearful when you're on that ladder on the side of your house and like, I have enough time to splat?
I mean, how high a fucking ladder are you on?
I mean, just like in reference of heights, like rooftops. Like, it makes me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not a fan of heights. Like, I'm not the guy with no, or I guess the all lizard brain, stuck to the side of a fucking mountain face and not sweating. Yeah, like my hands sweat.
I'm fearful of heights. Yeah, and I didn't want that fear to own me, so I owned it. Yeah, that's
cool. How long were you there for, or how long did you run it for?
18 months.
Yeah. Were you involved with jumping dogs? I know not you personally, but did you have guys that you're putting through the course? Is that treated kind of
part
the same
of
way?
It's part of tandem. I've jumped dogs, and there's parts that evolved and how to take care of the dogs, especially on openings.
Yeah.
And then landing with them.
Can you speak to that?
Big parts on openings. You hold their heads close to you on that, because I can only imagine the dog's like, holy shit, I have these goggles on and it's dark and I guess I'm falling.
Yeah.
I don't, if they could speak, it would be great to hear what they think. But yeah, big parts holding their necks and having them tight in so, they don't have essentially like a neck whiplash.
Yeah.
And then landing too. It's like, you don't want to land on the dog, so you're going to fuck that dog up. You jump that dog in for a reason. You don't want to break its legs on landing.
Yeah. Did you ever have any mishaps with dogs jumping them? It was all good.
Yeah. We evolved a bunch in how we carried them or mounted them, and Jimmy was a huge part in that.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves jumping too, and obviously his passion for dogs, but I mean, the different ways to hold them and just make them safer. There were some like kind of modified kit bags to just the harnesses and how you hooked them in to what rigs.
Yeah. At what point in your time at Dev Group were you the air guy that way or running that course? Was it midway through or?
2015.
So you'd done a couple of deployments prior to that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was kind of the biggest thing that stood out on your first deployment with Development Group? I guess that was different from your previous experiences overseas.
One thing that is undeniable is the level of experience and skill of everyone. They're so surgical. There's no wasted movements or effort. No question of how is this guy going to perform or who's doing what. I mean, it's like you function like the Patriots when they're just unstoppable. Like, everyone's synced up. Everyone's on the same page. No conversation about it. And it just gets done.
So Tom Brady a couple times, Aaron Hernandez, now the Patriots.
I'm not a Patriots fan, but like there's easy reference.
Yeah,
they're easy
I'm just
reference.
messing with you. No, I hear you 100%. Was the level of competency there so significant that it's like night and day difference from the regular SEAL teams in your opinion?
I think kind of some of the big differences are time. Just you can't replace that experience.
Yeah.
The older guys that are kind of on the Little Creek West Coast teams, you have amazing people there that are super smart, just smart as anybody at the command, but they don't have the funding, the assets, or the seasoned team. It's like every 3 years they're rotating, and there's different billets for training, buds instructors and things like that. So to have that seasoned team that stays together a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But the amount of time that you have to train, it's just, they're different schedules. Kind of like you say, like jack of all trades, master of none. We kind of shook in some of the trades and became masters of what we need to be.
Yeah. Which you'd say is assaults, right?
Yeah. We had a few specific things that we are the person to call, and we had to make sure we were perfect. Obviously, mistakes happen, but that's where we got to learn.
Yeah. Did you guys focus much from a training standpoint on maritime stuff still? Mm-hmm. Still quite a bit? Yeah. To me, I think the biggest thing that sticks out, at least my time in, was that you don't have to deal with, or you guys don't deal with at Dev Group, is that every platoon there's a fresh batch of guys with no experience coming in. So like there's no way to move past that.
Yeah, it's hard to raise that bar.
Yeah, whereas you guys, the lowest common denominator is already a guy that has several years of.
I think the average is probably 6 to 8 years.
Yeah,
is a new guy.
Yeah.
And I think the average age too is late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
So, I remember, I hate to say being a child, but acting like a child kind of.
Yeah.
Probably early 20-year-olds do, and evolving.
Yeah.
It's kind of who you are.
So how old were you when you went there?
25.
All right. So the very first real world mission as a squadron guy, what was that like? Do you remember it?
I'm trying to think of the first one. Yeah, I do.
Can you?
Yeah, we hit this target. Our troop team did. And there were no gunfights.
Really?
Yeah, there were no gunfights, and I had this expectation of how things were, because I was comparing it to 2008 when we were doing things, or I was augmenting, and no gunfight.
So you're like, I saw more action in fucking SEAL Team 10.
Yeah, what the fuck happened? What happened to 08 shit? But, you can't, like I said, you can't search for that kind of stuff. It'll find you. And one memorable op that we did was up in the Konar, around Red Wings kind of area. And we did some really good work that night. We landed, those pilot, those pilots are amazing. Landed on, I don't know, a 60-degree pitch. And we walked up that valley going after a specific target, and it was a gunfight all the way up for 5-6 hours. And then things were just clicking. We were going after a target, but we ran into problems and we dealt with them. I remember at the end of it, I looked at my TL. I was like, "Are we going there?" He's like, "You haven't had enough." No, this is what I signed up for. We haven't got them. We haven't got who we're going for. There's that place. It's about to be light, and obviously you don't want to be there when light comes on. And this 47 lands on this peak kind of thing. It's front right wheel. That was it. It's front right wheel. 47s, the school bus kind of twin helicopter thing. So it lands its right front wheel right there. The side door gunner gets out, moves the minigun out of the way, gets on one knee as a step, and was like, "All right, come on." And we all just jumped on and took off.
Oh, shit.
It was the coolest thing.
God damn.
Imagine that big ass helicopter sitting there with one wheel on there, and just, you're loading 3,500 pounds at 8,000 feet.
Wow. That's fucking impressive, man. What were the circumstances in terms of what the problems that you were running into? Was it so you're gaining elevation and taking it on the way up?
Mm-hmm. There were targets in between where we needed to go to, and we had to address them, whether we were getting it engaged outside of the targets or we had to clear them to kind of safely go through. CQC at its best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were a lot of these problems that you encounter, were they in buildings and structures, or were they open?
Both.
Yeah.
So like there was some indirect that was coming across the valley, some barricaded in the house shooting out, some outside the house that whether it was sleepers outside or what, and I say sleepers that had guns, woke up and started shooting at us.
Yeah.
There were some that they will put people in front of them as human shields and shoot through them, create some major issues for sure.
Were there instances where you had to engage people that were trying to use human shields?
No. It makes it very difficult to engage those threats when they're doing stuff like that. We've had people white light us as people are shooting and using them as targets, and then that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, grenades, chest racks. There were a couple of suicide vests up there.
About how many people did you encounter on the way in? And this is, you said, over like a 5-6 hour period?
Yeah, 22.
And loadout wise, is there a preferred long gun for that type of gig? For you, I guess? Or I mean, do you have the autonomy individually to pick whatever you want?
You do. Recce guys carry recce stuff.
That's pretty specific.
Yeah, I mean, they have a wide variety of long guns to choose from depending on the environment and mission. And I could have chosen MP7, 416, 17.
Did you have a favorite or a go-to?
I love that MP7.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually just got one.
Really? Oh, shit.
I loved it. But it's a very specific niche thing that guys would or wouldn't carry just on the performance of the round. But the 416 was just what I carried.
On that one?
Yeah, that's what I carried most of the time. People like to talk about these engagements 100, 200 yards plus out. And for me, we have either a long gun or I got some cover to call something in. I could just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say most engagements were inside of 50 meters?
The only engagements, I won't say the only, 95% of my engagements have been within 10 yards.
Within 10 yards? And most of the time with a 416?
Yeah, always.
Loadout mag-wise, I mean, are you...
3 mags, 1 in the gun, no pistol.
No shit. Mm-hmm. And you're battling it for 5-6 hours with that small of a loadout?
You got enough people that are carrying 120 rounds. I mean, it's not Mogadishu.
Yeah.
You're taking surgical shots. You got a grenade or two, a thermo or two.
Can I ask what the train of thought is behind no pistol?
Couple. We're always trying to save weight. I mean, I was crazy about it. I would cut off Molly off my kit that I just wouldn't use.
Yeah.
To save ounces at equal
You're cutting
pounds.
the neck tags off your T-shirts.
Yeah. If in those kind of environments, I didn't really feel like I needed a pistol for multiple reasons. One, if my gun went down, which it has in gunfights, I roll out and my team member kind of rolls in for me. If my gun would go down, I know they taught originally that your gun goes down, you transition your pistol. In a two-way gunfight, I'm not going to stand in a doorway with my gun that goes down and draw my pistol. I'm going to let somebody else come in with a rifle. The comfort of hiking around at 5 to 12,000 feet, there wasn't really a great way besides the old safari land, like drop down. Some ops, I would throw on a pistol if I felt the need for it. But
was it up to each individual whether or not they carried a pistol? Yeah. Did some guys?
Some guys did. Yeah.
Were you still rolling with 228s and 226s?
Yep.
Or yeah.
Yeah.
Is that still your preferred operational pistol, or do you have one?
I love those 320s.
Yeah.
They're new 320s, but we shoot Glocks too. Like I have a 19X I love shooting too.
Yeah.
You ever shot those STIs?
I have, actually.
These things run on rails.
Yeah. I know it. They're amazing.
Yeah, I love the modularity of 320s, 6. Carried them forever. It's
Yeah.
great. You can go compact carry, full size.
Yeah.
Really dependable.
Within the command, pistol wise, is there the same level of selection that each guy, like, can you carry kind of whatever you want?
Yes, you can. And actually, I came across a photo. What my box loadout of guns looked like. I had a USP 45 compact.
Really?
HK, yeah, with the suppressor. We didn't have any, or at least I didn't have any, because I had a 19 as well. No suppressors on that. That was more, concealed. 226s, nothing. But yeah, remember the old SOCOMs?
Yeah.
It was like 24 inches.
Yeah.
That's your pistol.
Oh shit.
But no, like these, much smaller. It was nice, but it was still kind of the era on what we were doing. Pistols weren't a big thing for kind of that.
Yeah. Could you like pick some whiz bang shit that's not in the inventory? Like, is there that much flexibility? Like, hey, I want like an STI or whatever. Like,
no, I mean those are big programs for sure.
Yeah. So you couldn't say like, hey, there's this fucking Wilson combat gun that I want to carry, and they'd let you do it, or
if the RDT&E shop and everybody signed off on it, and it was kind of a program like that, sure.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, not that kind of flexibility.
Yeah. Round wise, for both pistol and rifle, do you guys have that same flexibility to take buffalo bore or something that's more effective than green tip or ball?
Yeah. So when we'd always sight in or recheck dopes, we would always grab the ammo that we would carry in our mags. Whether it's LR or some other kind of specific defensive round rifle wise that it slowed down or mushroomed out or that kind of thing. Pistol wise, everything from hollow points. We always ran hollow points, I think, or
like Federal HSTs or Spears or what?
I think Federals.
Yeah.
And then the MP7. The problem with that round was it was so fast and hot, it would just kind of zip through. Mm-hmm. So they kind of tried to dumb it down and make it a little flatter and slower. But whatever we would carry real world, we would sight in with, and obviously train with just ball.
Could you buy or order any ammo you wanted?
No, I mean, another kind of big program.
Yeah.
If we wanted to test out a new round, obviously there's appropriate ways to go about it and can do it. And usually it's kind of identifying a gap or something that we need.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's flexibility, but there's a limit within that flexibility.
Sure. To me, the 223 or 556 Avenue, like that Buffalo Bore 77 grain, technically it's a hollow point. That shit is awesome. Like, I don't know why our entire military doesn't use that round.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. But did you find that to be a recurring problem where the rounds you were using were over-penetrating real-world targets?
There were a couple shoot-throughs, not when I was at the command, from some units that we were working with that went through people and hit some unintended people.
Yeah. So I guess, collectively, the experiences that you had throughout your time at Development Group, multiple deployments, are there different operations or instances that kind of stand out the way you remember them that are noteworthy?
Yeah, so there were two that stick out to me. One, there was a really good one, and one, there's a really bad one. Which one do you want me to do first?
Let's go with the bad news first.
So bad news, common question I get are, what were your most difficult deployments? And mine specifically was 2012. We were in Afghanistan. Some atmospherics, I think, weigh in on that were I had just had my first son, my wife had just had my first son, and I left on deployment when he was 3 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so finally had that boy. I don't have to worry about passing my name off anymore. I can go get blown up or whatever, kind of on him. But yeah, left when he was 3 weeks old in June. And so we went to, we went on deployment, and one thing that was different I wouldn't say different, but completely different on this deployment was every room we were staying in were dead guys' rooms.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from August 6th.
Oh, wow.
When those guys, yeah, I mean, so that was already eerie. reliving Red Wing, 6 years again, 6 years later after, it happens, and going there, being the first time father, staying in dead guys' rooms, that you knew and you were really close with. The deployment, the kickoff was just different. And we started getting rockets into the base, and we've had, I've been on multiple deployments where we get rockets. It is a thing, but it's usually like a couple. It's not 200.
Yeah.
I've never felt as unsafe on a base than then. Where we're staying, the rooms we're staying in, the ops were pretty normal. We got into gunfights. We did stuff on our kind of vampire schedule, and every time we came back, we would just get rocketed, and they just kept getting closer. And vampire hours, I think some people know them, some people don't. Basically, you wake up, right as the sun goes down. You go to bed pretty much right as the sun comes up. You eat dinner for breakfast. You eat breakfast for dinner, and you work in between. And that was kind of the schedule that we were on. And it was like every day. The rockets kept coming in, and they just kept getting closer. There was just nothing that we were doing operationally that were putting an impact on this. And so they finally kind of started honing in on who was doing these rocket attacks, where they're coming from. And we go out on this one op, we're on kind of those side-by-side ATV things on the back, driving off of helicopters, eating sand, almost like Rogue Warrior.
Yeah.
Like at night, nods tubes, like we needed some of those dirt bike peel off, to clear off the dust. It's moon dust that's seeping through like mask and garb, and just it's an experience.
Yeah.
And got into this really big gunfight this one night. We had kind of set our side by sides, hit them, and start walking in this town, and immediately get into a gunfight. It was a couple hundred yards away, but it just kept intensifying as we kept diving more and more into this town, to the extent of we're getting intel saying that they see us and they're setting up on us. At only one other time that we've had intel that they were setting up an ambush on us, and we didn't go on that one, but this one we're already in it. We're in the town, and we're trying to get out of the town. We can push deep enough into it. We get this, I'm going to fuck up the nomenclature, but some 83 millimeter, something, recoilless rifle. So 10 feet tall, 170 pounds. For whatever reason, we had to bring that fucking thing out of there.
Jesus.
Yeah, we did.
How the fuck do you bring that out?
Over your shoulder.
No shit.
And
log PT?
Yeah, like log PT.
Yeah.
We rotated guys carrying this thing, two guys at one time, because one end was heavier than the other. It's kind of like a cannon in a sense. And I remember, I'm kind of telling the story a little out of order, but getting into the town, all the gunfights, hitting the target, finding this thing, having to take it back out and dodge these ambushes that are being set up to get back to the side-by-sides and get on it and get out. And it felt like an eternity, a sense of, are we going to get out of this town? We're hearing they're surrounding us, taking effective fire, shooting people, people setting up on us. It's 2012, been at this for 7 years. This is not that it doesn't happen, but this is just intensifying more than making progress. So, there's a mixture of things between recce guys dropping bombs for us to get out of the town. We're all shooting, we're not going through lots of mags, but we're all shooting to get out. Finally get out, get to our side-by-sides, get this cannon loaded up, get on the helicopter. I don't even think we could shut the back door, but whatever. Get picked up, get back on base. We're debriefing about this fucking nightmare, and kind of description on what happens usually after targets when we get back. Sunrise is coming up, eating breakfast for dinner, taking a shower. We usually always kind of watch some sort of episode show.
Was there a favorite? Or what? Like, what show?
Californication was.
I can only imagine like the actors and the people that make those movies I'm curious what they would think to know that, these tier 1 fucking American warriors are watching this shit right after an op before they go to bed overseas.
Man. We go heavy episodes.
No Sex in the City?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Some guys just admit it. I don't know. That morning we sitting there watching some episodes like normal, kind of eat, talk about what will happen in the next 24 hours, and we go to bed. And there are these Quonset hut kind of tan fabric things that we've built pretty much in the dorm rooms out of plywood and 2x4s. Typically, this is usually when rockets come in. But at this point, like we're halfway, 3/4 of the way through the deployment. People usually go into cover, but at this point, we're just like, whatever, hit us, don't hit us. Just where we were. And everyone's going to sleep, lights are out, and this boom goes off. And when I say boom, I thought our tin blew up.
No shit.
Yeah. Like, I got into a fetal position because I thought that was the only way I could physically survive this thing. Because I didn't know. I was like, holy fuck, a rocket. Like, I expected to look out the door and see half of our tin gone. It's not what happened. Basically, a 5,000-pound V-bid went off about 100 yards from us.
God damn.
A dump truck. And that went off and basically blew all of us out of our beds. It basically lifted all the moon dust up. And, we're running around in, like, board shorts and trying to put some shoes on. Frag starts coming down through the roofs, like smashing guys' gear, computers. There's kind of a little wall in between where we were with another unit that we were working with. The overall circle of our compound was connected, but now we're thinking that they got blown up. So we put board short shoes on and we're like kind of running to see what's going on. Guys are grabbing gear. And we realized, all right, well, it wasn't that group. And then we kind of see over the wall. And this V-bid basically blew a hole in the wall from the exterior of the entire base. Shit. Some of us were running with no guns, including myself. Wasn't the best decision. Mistake, lessons learned. The group scattered in what they were focusing on, and guys getting gear and the communication. But a collective group of us, including like our ground force commander, which was awesome, are running up because they basically blew up a bazaar, a hospital, and like you're just seeing people just blood coming out of their face, like buried rubble, and this gap, and like you hear about it, like they blow holes in walls, and now guys are coming through with guns. We got our GFC, our ground force commander. He gets in a turret behind a 50. We're grabbing guns to basically hold off whatever's coming next. And luckily, nothing came.
Oh shit!
Nothing came because we responded so quickly.
Wow.
They had 20 dudes 50 yards away that were coming through, and they saw the response, and nothing came.
Wow.
The after effects of that, though, like the blast after effects last a long time. So, like our entire team was fucked up from it. And
what kind of injuries were all? Like
just overpressure,
blast lung type shit.
Yeah, just I remember them asking me, "Do you know what day it is?" It's like, I don't know, Saturday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Okay. It's Groundhog Day anyways. Yeah. Sure. And a number of different questions. They kind of give you the test, and all of us failed.
Is it fair to say that you pretty much all had concussions?
Extreme ones.
Yeah.
And, I think after that op, there are a few more ops that we did where houses blew up on us. So it was just like dumbing our healing levels down. But that one just kind of, I hate to say icing on the cake, that thing left our entire team
rattled.
rattled.
Yeah. Wow.
Just extremely fucked up. And I mean, they followed in with rockets and that kind of stuff, but that stuck out to me a lot. I mean, it shook us up pretty bad.
Yeah.
A few weeks later on that deployment, rockets started coming in direct to our base, like blew up our gym, blew up our fight gym, blew my TL off the treadmill. And it was just different. I'm trying to manage looking at my son. While it's all going on, it's not easy.
Because at this point he's a couple months old, right?
Yeah, he's like 3 months old,
Yeah.
4 months old. So a lot of different mixed emotions, and just getting blown up a lot. We hit a few targets later on in that deployment. Houses blew up on us, people blew up on us, and it crippled us. It was known. It was known across the command how bad it was.
Yeah. Two questions, I guess. When the rockets that are coming in, do you know what kind of rockets are coming in?
Oh, yeah, they're like those recoilless, right? Like I think, like I said, I was gonna mess up the nomenclature if it's like an 83, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like kind of Soviet era things were that would come in
and like a handful or dozens or.
They usually come in volleys, 3, 4. They'd move, 6, coordinated, mostly during the day, and then they started coming in at night. But as the time progressed, the concentration of them focused on us.
So they were getting better at
getting more accurate.
And they knew who you were and where you were at. And
there's so many foreign locals that are in and out of the base helping contracting that it's not a secret.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. There's one guy that came back and immediately got out. Another guy a few years later that killed himself, and suicide. And a number of guys that just kind of were never the same again.
Yeah. Did you guys get tested for TBIs and shit after?
Oh yeah, we failed miserably.
All have them. We
got those ganglion shots in our neck, which is supposed to reset our sympathetic nervous system, and it lasts a couple of days, but came back angry.
Yeah. Did that deployment change you?
Yeah.
Like for good?
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day?
Yep.
Yeah. What can you say about the biggest change? Like
noises. We live by an air base. Jets sound like incoming. Even dumpsters get dropped out, like explode. Like somebody dropped a Yeti water bottle the other day. We were walking on an airplane. Just get you nervous, anxiety building up. Makes you want to stay distant, not exposed, kind of any vulnerabilities to anything.
Would you say that the way you are with that stuff today as we sit here is any better than it was right when you came back? Like, has it subsided some?
No.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What, and that's pretty common for the whole crew, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, it's hard to experience that and reset and not be concerned that it would happen again.
Yeah. Is there anything that any of your guys have been able to do that have helped with that? Any like the Mexico ayahuasca trips or anything like that?
I think there's a lot of therapies that are being explored that are helping people. A lot of research being done across ayahuasca and some of that treatment. There's some treatment, I think, coming out of California as well, and some of those studies on the neurowave, magnetic stuff I haven't, been a part of, but just hearing about, and a lot of funding from different organizations to get research and get people better on that. What they did after that, and what they typically do, to give you Band-Aids, give you prescriptions.
What would they give you for that?
it's a cocktail mixture. Every prescription is a science project on you, because if they give you something, give me something, we may react completely different.
Yeah.
I bounced around between Wellbutrin, Zoloft, and a number of other uppers and downers and everything in between.
Are you still on any of that kind of shit?
Yeah, on some of it. When I got medically retired, the VA doctors wanted to switch some of the stuff to help with different headaches and anxiety and things like that. But
yeah, wow. You mentioned your son, and I could see the emotion kind of brimming as you talked of him. Did becoming a father change how you operated?
Being an operator, you have to be extremely selfish.
Family-wise?
Yeah. Nothing can come in between it. And you take for granted, or you push off to the side and compartmentalize it. And it didn't change. Didn't change what I was going to do or what I was willing to do or die for. Until my wife at the time had enough, and we were going to go through a divorce, a nasty one. And when I could see it on his face.
How old was he at that time?
3.5. Yeah, 3.5. I could see it on his face. I was like, all right, I'm gonna make a change. That's when I went to air, and kind of left the squadron, went to air, and went through that. And then I just kind of had a different perspective on what really, there wasn't one overweighing the other on what was important, what wasn't. But my sons were more important.
Yeah. In terms of taking risks, actions at the objective, did the thought of your kids ever come into or play a role in you taking less risks?
Nope.
Nothing. Didn't change that at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, there were multiple missions after that all of us would send flowers to our wives because we didn't think we were going to come back.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The entire team would send flowers to the wives because we didn't know.
What? I guess mentally, I'm imagining the roller coaster of assuming that you're not coming back, sending flowers, writing letters, and then you do come back. What is the adrenaline dump or like emotional roller coaster down after you actually make it back from that?
You get so used to it, you don't notice it until it's gone. And when it's gone, you try and do other stuff to replace it. It's like skydiving. You jump out of a plane, 1,000 times, you kind of not forget about the risk, but it just becomes a normal thing. You don't have that adrenaline dump. The calming, just the calmness, everything slows down. The breathing, the footwork, the movement. It's addictive. The risk, but the bigger mission than yourself, and like for the country and what you're doing. It's worth it. It's worth dying for. And I'd do it today.
Yeah.
It meant that my kids and family could have what we have.
Yeah. That's fucking admirable, no doubt about it. Do you recall how many times you were in that position where you sent flowers thinking, this is it?
3.
3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Did they know that that's why they were getting flowers? Just, was it like there's the
nonverbal,
there's the wives network of
it was a nonverbal
why
thing.
Why did we all just get flowers?
We would never say anything, and they would get flowers, and then unfortunately some of this stuff would get leaked out on the news, and they just put 2 and 2 together. And that was, we didn't talk about it. That was something that I grew up that I didn't know what those commands did, and
yeah,
I was very much in the same mindset. Like, no one needs to know what we do, but it was just kind of one of those things. If we never made it back, our wives would always know that we love you, and like it was kind of our last goodbye.
Yeah. Man, that's hard to imagine. Of those 3 instances, were any of those missions the good news story that you wanted to share, or any of those 3 that you can share the details of how hairy they were that you thought you weren't coming home from them?
No, I mean, I think those can be left for another time at the right time. I prefer to, those were very super close hold.
I got you.
And yeah, but definitely love to talk about some good ones.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hear the good news. So no shit, there we were.
No shit, there we were again in Afghanistan on deployment.
Yeah.
We had a deployment that was literally like out of the movies. 100% movies that you couldn't have scripted any better. One, we weren't on vampire hours, which were great. We were up during the day. And 2, we had every asset available and dedicated to us. And when I say every, helicopter-wise, we were doing vehicle interdictions. And so, they would track these people. There'd be a time gap to hit them. And our pagers would go off. Guys would be running out of the gym, throwing their clothes on. Pilots running the helicopters, spinning them up. Because we only have this little time window and we got to hit it, minimizing collateral damage and things like that. And just, it was, you look back and like the good days. You had everything. We're jumping in helicopters, got 4 helicopters sitting there spinning. We got 2 DAPs, 60s with rockets, miniguns, and like we are going. And it's like coming over mountains. Their pilots are picking them up, and whether it's out of the movie shooting the typical engine block, or it's a minigun run right down. Some of the cars or motorcycles shooting at us with AKs. Play the old Vietnam era music and roll that videotape.
It sounds like hog hunting here in Texas.
Oh yeah, miniguns blasting up this dirt at this motorcycle shooting at you, and the motorcycle blows through.
Oh shit!
How is this possible? Or you see out of a movie, the dirt kicking up and it hits the motorcycle and it explodes.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Did you guys get any of that on FLIR footage or anything that you've seen after?
I'm sure somebody somewhere has some footage.
One of you guys out there with an iPhone, fucking
shit. I don't know if iPhones are. Yeah.
Or GoPro, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That deployment was amazing, though. It was just nonstop
action.
Action.
Yeah.
And
were most of them vehicle interdictions?
On that one, 90% of them were.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was amazing. Unfortunately, on that deployment, different team, part of the team somewhere else, a couple of guys got killed on a different op.
While you were over there?
Yeah. Same group, but just different. But it was really eerie because it was September 11th.
Yeah.
But
I was good friends with one of those guys.
Oh,
yeah. What's that?
You were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess with 90% of that deployment being those vehicle interdiction type scenarios, did you do other DA type stuff, or what was the other 10%?
So yes, we did do nighttime, some DAs, but a lot of times the vehicle interdictions, again, pagers go off, running to helicopters spinning up, coming on these targets, not always successful, but they turn into they enter a building.
Yeah.
We got to set down in the middle of the day. Red Wing's still fresh in my fucking mind.
Yeah.
We're in 47s flying in the middle of the day.
Yeah. It's hanging it out. Fucking nerve wracking,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming.
So yeah, when that would usually happen, obviously there were contingencies and plans where we sit down and assault those targets. Some were big gunfights, some weren't, and some were dog bites.
Yeah.
And kind of that piece as well.
Did you notice a disparity between the canine usage at Dev Group versus the dogs you worked with on the teams?
Yes and no. I think their goal is to obviously be the same across the board, but the training time that each dog gets and the handler gets is different, on top of funding. The level of training, some of the dogs that we had at the command, I couldn't tell you how different it is. It's just the quality of the reactions, whether it was, single focused on just this bomb piece or the kind of defensive attack piece or surge piece, and the blended of the two. There were dogs that would act differently once they had their first bite and their taste of blood. And then there were some that just, I hate to say, couldn't cut it. Had to get another one. I say couldn't cut it. They're very highly trained and would, I think, kind of their path would go off to being donated to law enforcement or something.
Yeah. Is there a dog that sticks out as being the most memorable?
Yeah. Yep. One of the first dogs I ever got introduced to, his name was Diesel. And he already had a silver star and a purple heart.
Wow. That's badass.
And he was a massive Belgian. And he had gotten his awards because he went into a cave with guys shooting at him. I wasn't there, completely, secondhand story. Apparently, these guys were in a cave and shot at the assault force, fairly close engagement, but he went in there and pretty much ate all of them. Got shot.
Didn't give a fuck.
Didn't give a fuck. And he was the most family-friendly dog when you took that vest off.
Yeah.
He had separation anxiety, from his hand. It was hilarious. You put that vest on him.
Yeah.
It was a light switch, and it was humbling to see.
That's amazing. I mean, the contextual association that dogs have. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's one of the staples to which with which we have the ability to train them to the level that they do. The other side of that sword, is that sometimes you inadvertently build these contextual associations that you don't realize, hence the inadvertent part, until it's kind of too late or until you've created a fucking monster that can be hard to turn that light switch off. But
I think there's probably a few dog personalities at that command that people will always measure to, and he's definitely probably one of them.
Yeah. Did you see any of his bites?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was the one that sticks out as motherfucker? That's terrible.
Oh, definitely during the VIs.
Yeah.
Getting some of those guys out of those cars.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So can you tell one of those where a dog was used on a VI?
On one of the vehicles or stops, it was kind of like a minivan, Volkswagen bus. Got stopped. They had been shooting at the helos, and their car kind of got disabled, and they decided to stay in the car for whatever fucking reason and fight from there. We performed some of our land warfare tactics, and they stopped shooting at us, but they were still in, and obviously, presumably, hopefully dead. And there's a number of things that you can do, or at least I've seen, sending dogs in there and things like that. They have cameras on them. So they sent, I think, Diesel in there, jumped through one of the windows, shoot on one guy for a while some of the assault force, EOD guys, obviously a big thing coming up on them to make sure there's nothing rigged to blow. But that was one of just chewing on the driver.
Yeah. Was he still alive?
If he was, it wasn't for very long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fucking wild, man. Any other cool dog stories like that stick out? Not necessarily interdiction-wise, but any of the deployments that
there's some other OTBs.
Yeah?
Get them in the water. They are good swimmers, but some of them just don't like being in the water.
Yeah.
And you got to convince them that they have to doggy paddle.
Yeah.
While you're swimming with all kinds of gear on.
Did you guys do a lot of water work?
Fair amount.
Yeah. I think that surprises a lot of people, that in Afghanistan you're doing maritime shit at all, but
I think one of the coolest things water-wise was I found out that we needed a capability to drive jet skis in shallow reef surf areas.
That seems like a convenient capability to find out.
It was a dream come true. And so with skydiving, we'll go to these areas that have consistent weather because it's most efficient to learn and train in. So when I heard we needed this, I was like, we're going to fucking Hawaii on the North Shore.
Oh, man.
And I remember calling this guy, just cold calling him. And my reference story is like, if you wanted training from Michael Jordan, you Google him, dial 1-800 Michael Jordan. And this guy answers her and like, hey, I'm looking for Michael Jordan. He's like, yeah, it's me. That's basically what this guy was for big wave surfing.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't know him from anybody. And I was like, hey, I know we don't know each other, but we kind of need this training. And I'm describing that we need to learn how to drive jet skis on night vision through the North Shore of Hawaii.
Yeah.
In like 20-foot surf. He's like, okay. Okay, well, I'll see you in 4 months with like 20 guys and jet skis. And we showed up there, North Shore winter, big surf, had an awesome house lined up. There's no base housing available. We have to stay on the North Shore on the beach. Yeah. And I get I think it was like 12 guys total, and I'm just excited to be out there. And, some guys are from Iowa, only seen the ocean a few times, made it through buds, but haven't seen the North Shore in its fullest. And that first program and trip was amazing. And what it turned into was a real capability. And later on down the road, saved guys' lives.
Really?
On ops.
What's the gist of using that as the platform?
Insert, extract. Just like a car, dirt bike, ATV, it's just a different environment. So different option to use if you want to use it.
Yeah. And I suppose that capability, they can tow like a boat almost, right? So you could have a big sled with gear on it and all kinds of shit.
There's a big evolution of how that platform will be used and the skill level and qualifications that need to be achieved for it to be a successful tool.
Can you talk about the op that you actually used them on?
Me personally, I've never used them. DJ's hit on kind of his one big op that they were used on. Yeah. They've been used on for a couple others. Yeah. But I was just glad there were so many arguments on why we needed to go to the North Shore. And I get the optic of like, oh, you're just going to go surf and fuck this off. And that. You go sit there and like, this was literally why. Help get medevac guys off. Yeah. It's not only about taking bad guys off, but like dudes get it off. Like it's a good platform to get guys out of there. Yeah.
Man, that's wild. Did you do any dirt bike shit?
Very little. I grew up riding, but yeah.
Donkeys?
Avoided them.
You're surrounded by jackasses. What do you need a donkey for? Man, that's wild. Any other gigs from your time at Dev Group that stick out as being like worthy of talking about?
That place is a machine. It'll keep running well past when you jump off the train. And it's needed. The one-track mind, what it provides for all of us, it was humbling and an honor to be a part of it when I did it. I wouldn't trade it for the world either.
You miss it?
Always.
Yeah. Do you think physically you could still do it?
Fuck no. No. I had 4 shoulder surgeries, broken 3 legs.
Yeah.
My body hurts.
What is the original shoulder surgery that you had back in high school? Is that what plagued you the 3 following times?
No.
Really? Mm-mm. Different shit? Mm-hmm. And you broke your leg. Were those all operational injuries?
Yep.
Like that happened, that they're acute, or is chronic?
Chronic, but I broke my right in 2007 in Fallujah.
How'd that happen?
So, there I was. I was there. We were doing this one op in 2007 in Fallujah, and this was pre-Redmond getting shot in the face. We're going to hit this one target. So, no shit, there I was. we get out a few blocks away from this house, and one of my buddies and I are going to climb the roof when we get to the target. So we get up there, we set the ladder, we start climbing the roof, and there's 2 people sleeping on the roof. At this point in my experience, nobody really like springs up. They're compliant. This motherfucker had a different thing in mind. He was a spider monkey that had, he was the strongest little skinny person I've ever fucking met.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And
did you grab a hold of him?
Well, we grabbed a hold of each other.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I now have him in a full guard in jiu-jitsu, and he's grabbing on all my shit. And my M4 is like stuck in between us. My shooting buddy is trying to put his muzzle through his head, but his gun's exploding because it had those old rail systems.
Jesus.
So now this like Colt M4 rails exploded. This guy's wife is freaking out. The one time I'm carrying a pistol has been knocked out of my gear, and I'm freaking out because I don't want her to grab it. And it was still when I was in the mindset of like, I got a folding blade. I don't really need a fixed blade. If I had had a fixed blade at that point, I would have had my first knife kill.
Oh, shit.
That was the only thing that I could have used.
Were you trying to strike him?
I mean, I literally had him in like a jiu-jitsu full guard. Like Matt's hitting, the guy that I was with was literally putting his muzzle in his head, but like his gun's exploding. Needless to say, we finally get this guy kind of, I say compliant, handcuffed. His wife, I pick up my pistol that had been knocked out. Like holy fuck, like a lot of lessons learned. One, that I can't lose my fucking pistol or get it knocked out of my gear. I need to have a fixed blade. And maybe I don't give that inch to that guy ever again. Meanwhile, the guys that were watching the feed were like, I can't believe you guys didn't kill that guy. I mean, they saw like the full UFC match on the roof.
So you had your hands full with him.
Yeah, in the tussle though, I thought he stabbed me in the leg. On the initial one. He ended up hitting me in the leg with a brick. And so like on the initial kind of engagement, I thought I'd been stabbed in the leg or whatever, but basically broke my leg on the initial one. So
oh shit. Mm-hmm. Were you able to finish the op or were you out?
We wrapped up the roof. Assault Force wrapped up inside, and I hobbled down, and they found 100 pounds of explosives in the backyard or whatever. The weirdest shit though was that was in the time where they were creating courts. So I had to fly to Baghdad, sit across from this dude.
No shit.
And explain to the Iraqi judge what happened.
What, I mean, once you saw him in the daylight and in person, were you surprised at what he looked like? And you were like, how did this fucking guy give me that much trouble? Or did it make more sense once you kind of met him?
No, I mean, it was like 6'2".
Oh, he's a big guy.
Maybe 180.
Oh,
He was skinny. But I think once I had healed up from that, because I didn't stop doing ops, there's one other guy that went to go jump on me once, and I didn't give him that inch anymore.
Yeah.
Right back down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you saw that guy in the courtroom, was it weird seeing him? Because like
it was uneasy as shit. They didn't even have him handcuffed.
Wow. Was he eye fucking you like?
I think I was winning the eye fucking.
I can eye fuck you harder.
Yeah. Well, I sat my pistol right in my fucking lap. I was like, I don't know what you guys are playing, but I'm playing on a different fucking level right now.
No shit.
Yeah.
So what was the outcome of that?
He went to jail.
Yeah. That was it.
Just a different time.
Yeah. Wow. That's fucking wild. Did you have to do that again? Did you?
No.
That was the only instance. I mean, how did your OIC sell you on that? Or did he just say, this is what's fucking happening?
It wasn't an option.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that's wild. You mentioned you moved to a fixed blade after that. Did you ever use a knife combatively? Yeah. Nope. Man, that's fucking crazy. So other injuries were there any other acute injuries that happened to you?
No, I mean, the typical joints falling apart. I mean, breaking my right leg, my left leg twice, double shoulder surgery.
Were the other broken leg instances on operations?
The last time I broke my left leg for the second time, I was in my backyard.
Oh shit.
Throwing axes.
I thought there'd be a trampoline or something.
Yeah, I mean, towards the end of it, just jumping over a fence, you know, typical
Chuck
shit.
Norris impersonation.
Uh-huh.
That's great. At what point, once you had this mentality shift as you're going through this divorce, and that's what sends you to kind of lead the air operations for a period of time. What was the process like? Like you go there and you're kind of getting the quote unquote downtime, which probably wasn't all that much downtime, but how did the transition shift to you being medically retired?
So I kind of stayed in the air for about 18 months while this divorce is going on, and different states have different time lengths on separation and certain things. So we became legally separated. I wanted to go back to the squadron, kind of did my time there, went back to the squadron briefly, and it was just, I couldn't fully commit the way you need to commit. I'm balancing like having kids half the time, and went to my command master chief at the time. I was like, I can't juggle this anymore. So I left the command and went to ATC Fort Story, teaches basic sniper, breacher, that kind of stuff. And just that was when everything slowed down and you start dealing with a lot of demons and what you haven't been addressing for the last 10, 15 years for me. And things changed from when I first came into, at that point, 2018-ish, where now they were forcing us to start talking to people, like therapists. And it was something new. It was never something you used to do. Just like, yeah, you got skeletons, just deal with them. So as the progress continued with some of those conversations and things slowed down, they're like, you're pretty fucked up. Like, yeah.
Did you feel like you were?
No. Like, what do you mean I'm fucked up? That's how everything's always been. What do you mean I'm fucked up? Not in a bad way, but just like we've been put through the ringer. And they kind of broached the subject of like, you kind of need to like retire. And it's not something easy to accept. They danced around that for a while until finally I was just like, okay, I'm good.
What was the reason, or like, was there a
physically, mentally, the amount of prescriptions I was on, didn't realize until at that point I wasn't really supposed to be deployable. And so it was a cocktail of things, physically, mentally, prescription, and just the damage that kind of I had already gone through. And I mean, I'd be more of a liability in their eyes than anything.
Yeah.
So they pushed it, and it took me a while to accept it, but my kind of measurement was as long as I was good with looking myself in the mirror and what I had or hadn't done, it was okay.
You mentioned as things slowed down that your demons came to the surface. What was the first thing that you noticed, or what was the image or the inner demon that surfaced where you first realized that it was happening?
Well, I naturally don't want to slow down, because when you slow down, you have time. You have time to think about it or things. Whether it's just, gunfights, your ex-wife telling you you're a piece of shit. Not that she did, but in the event that she does. Your kids looking at you and just having that look on their face. The sounds being blown up. Did you make the right decision or not? If I had been there, would I have died with my buddy? And your crutches become more evident.
What were yours?
Drinking, definitely, for sure.
Was there a particular poison?
Everything short of rubbing alcohol.
Really? Hand sanitizer?
Not hand sanitizer. No.
Yeah, throw some fucking grape Kool-Aid powder in there with it.
Yeah.
I mean, so you drink anything?
Anything.
Yeah. Were anything else? Would you say that prescription drugs, that there was an element of actual abuse, or you were just taking them the way you were supposed to take them?
No, I was taking them. I couldn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Nothing. You let me tell me I want $1 million bucks back. Okay. Just not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just things slowing down, allowing enough time. And it's not easy to self-reflect on that one in that kind of environment.
Yeah. Were there decisions that you made operationally that as things slowed down and demons surfaced that contributed to that? Things that you questioned or regretted or wish you had done different?
Not operationally. No.
Nothing that you were like, fuck, I wish I hadn't done that.
No, I mean, you're always want to get after it, want to be in gunfights, want to be on those missions. But that was my one thing that I had to be okay with if I was going to hang it up, was if I could look myself in the mirror and be okay with what I had or hadn't done, mistakes I had or hadn't. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes to this day. I try and learn from them, not repeat them.
Yeah.
While I was at the command, definitely made mistakes, but learned from them. I don't know if I'd necessarily say I regret them or would want to take them back.
Yeah.
But I always try to just continuously learn from those.
If you reflect back on all 18 years or so of your service, is there a single regret that you have?
Not buying Amazon stock when it's like $1.50.
Fucking Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If you'd have bought $30 worth of Bitcoin when you showed up at Dam Neck,
I would have gone to the command sooner.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have taken a break in between high school and going in. I wouldn't have changed anything really.
Yeah. So like even say being a cover model for Seal of Dreams, that's not. I'm
gonna do a book signing later. Yeah, that you want to hit on that one, huh? Yeah. So book modeling, I'm still taking.
Hopefully the audience is seeing a flash of that cover. I think I actually know what picture that is, but
yeah,
I think so. There's like a fucking tattoo on your back, and it's like it's just your back, right, with like fucking pants on and no shirt.
Yep.
And there's a tattoo on your back.
That was 07 Fallujah.
Yeah. God, it's
photo shoots.
Priceless.
I think I have an autographing.
How do you have a copy of it? The missus has a copy of it. Of course she does. Mm-hmm. It's in the shitter, isn't it?
Oh, love stories. Yeah, I started reading. It's pretty entertaining.
How did that happen? Like, how did you even find out about it, or what?
DJ found out about it, and of course, typical him. He printed a bunch off and posted them all around the team room. I think Men's Journal wanted to write an article on Navy SEALs working out in war.
I mean, do you know how it got from that picture taken to being on the cover of a book?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I think Getty Images says they own it now.
Yeah.
That article was written in, I think, Men's Journal and Men's Health. They came and kind of did an article photo shoot of us working out kind of through NSW or whatever at the time, and wrote that. And that photographer, how those rights go. I don't know how that photographer took that photo.
Yeah.
And got it to the book cover or whatever.
Yeah.
It's always been a haunting kind of.
There's for sure far worse things to get sprung on you than that. At least it wasn't like a fake Grindr account, right? Maybe it is. Who knows?
I'm sure that someone's using that as a catfish profile.
Yeah, I might. I might have to. All right, so you get out and you start GBRS. Tell us about that and what the deal is with them.
So yeah, breezing over transitioning in the middle of COVID, we decided to start GBRS September of 2019, so kind of pre-COVID. And we were going to be a training company that went after government contracts and provide training and our experience on to the next generation and try and make sure that they didn't learn the same lessons in blood and make it easier. Like, you remember how it was difficult while you're in. It's difficult to work and have those conversations and pass that knowledge and connect reality with training. And if we identified gaps in the market on products, try and design them and make them better to help the end users. So DJ and I started GBRS with that kind of in mind. had some training contracts lined up, and COVID happened. Everything changed drastically. So January of 2020, went to SHOT Show, met with some vendors, didn't really know if anyone would think that we were valuable or not. Some people thought we were. What basically we wanted to do was do training, have strategic partnerships, and be able to provide for our families.
Was it a long time coming, or was it something that was more impulsive in terms of the idea and then starting it?
A little bit of both. I started my first kind of, I'll say, company or adventure while I was at the command. Like, did all the request shits,
all the moonlighting requests,
yep.
and all, yeah.
And I started like an off-road truck company. I love off-road trucks.
That's
and I was
awesome.
like, I don't want to pay retail.
Yeah.
And I think I can make some money. Like, yeah, just
Fucking classic.
that was my first experience and involvement with startup companies, and that was my business plan.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot on my own. GBRS wise, like I say, I understood the back end to an extent. So I spent a lot of time doing that. Sifting through 2020, still doing some training when we could. People started asking for T-shirts. That was the weirdest
Of all things.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you? A T-shirt of what?" They're like with your logo. I was like, I literally looked at them, I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Like, well, it's cool. I was like, our company is cool.
You think this fucking T-shirt's cool?
Yeah. So, we evolved a lot through COVID and starting companies and trying to survive and retire and balance a lot of different things. One aspect that was really weird was the harder we worked, the more money we made.
It is weird.
Yeah, it's weird because you spend a lot of time in the military working really hard and
Getting nothing.
you get the next task. Yeah. So, yeah, GBRS was growing. We kind of switched offices. We got some clients, got some employees, identified some gaps in the market, started some projects on gear, and we're kind of off to the races, trying to figure out as we went. That whole media thing, social media was a whole new thing. I didn't have social media. Email campaigns, marketing. We have a full-time HR. No idea what that was for at that point. Yeah. Employee benefits.
No more dick jokes or
Oh yeah.
no more Sharpie cock and balls on the forehead when you fall asleep at the office.
Well, apparently, like, people are asking for farts in a bag.
There's good money in that.
Yeah. But no, so we kind of sifted through 2020. COVID started kind of scaling back some. We continuously refined ourselves, stuck to our core of training and kept growing that. Products, T-shirts, and strategic partnerships were a big thing to us. We wanted to have strategic long-term partners with products that we believed in and would better lives on it.
Yeah.
And better for the end users. And so we've stuck to that ever since.
Is there a single component within GBRS that you're most proud of?
Our team.
Yeah. That was a quick answer. No need to think about that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without them.
How big is the team?
Just over 25 people now.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Got a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to save that question for you to ask you how big you thought we were.
I would not have guessed 25.
No.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's impressive and awesome, no doubt about it. What is the breakdown of, like, how many instructors versus support staff, et cetera?
It's like I said, it's a lot modeled after the command. So DJ and I, and we have some team guys that are transitioning out, whether they want to instruct. Like, we just had an interview with one 2 days ago. He's retiring Friday, like fully out, and retiring as a CO.
No shit.
Yeah, and like,
Dude, that's got to be weird.
Yeah, it is. It's completely weird. Like,
Like, all right, new guy.
Yeah,
Spanker, sit down.
He's like, yeah, anything you guys need, and like, I really respect you, and I don't know how to tell you to pick up.
That's fucking
it is.
wild.
It is humbling when people leave their jobs and are betting on you.
Yeah.
And your decisions can influence, whether they can pay their mortgage or not.
Yeah. Did you give him the camping joke interview? Are you familiar with it?
No.
I mean, maybe they stopped doing it. When on my Chiefs board, for getting my Trident, there was this fucking Master Chief that's like 47 at the time, this crusty old fucking guy, and he's like, let's say you and I go camping, right? You're a brand new guy, I'm a Master Chief, we go to La Posta or whatever, we go camping, and you wake up the next morning, the first morning, and your ass is really sore, and there's a condom hanging out of it. I was like, okay. He goes, do you tell anybody? I was like,
I have heard this story.
no, probably not. And he goes, you want to go camping? and of course, the whole room erupts in laughter and whatever. But I've used that I don't know how many fucking times in those similar environments.
Trustworthy people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That's a big thing when you get out is like the difference in, you're used to, like in the military, someone's like, I'll do it. Or they want to or not, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Outside is not the same.
Yeah, I know. It's a transition and a paradigm shift. No two ways about it. I do have to ask you about your Stance socks that you're wearing right now that I've noticed a few times. What do we got here? Is there a story behind those?
No, nope. Just comfortable
just what
socks.
You're into? All right.
Yeah.
I mean, because they do make other patterns.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Hawaiian thing.
I mean, I'm not knocking them. Like,
yeah,
to me, I think it's great.
It's a reminder of, I guess, Hawaii.
Did you get them those?
No. I definitely could be that person that lives on that 7-mile stretch of the North Shore for the rest of my life. I think my wife would go crazy.
Surf every day.
Every day.
Do you surf at home a lot? I mean, it's not great surf in Norfolk, right?
I haven't surfed in about 2 years.
Really?
I haven't worked this hard in my entire life.
Yeah, wow. That's saying something.
And I know I worked my ass off in the military, but
yeah,
it's
different.
Yeah,
it's different when you're an entrepreneur. I mean, believe me, I'm right there with you.
Yep.
What would you say, like to say, what does GBRS do? Like, what is I know there's a lot of different things, but kind of go down the laundry list in order of importance or, focus maybe is a better word.
I'll kind of break it up into 3 buckets. So training, products, and strategic partnership / marketing. Training across the board, SWAT, MOLE, government, agency, some civilians, some subscription stuff like our Patreon, our Train Heroic kind of workout. So both digitally and in person. Products, tactile nylon. We have some, I brought you a gift too.
Oh, sure.
Some different products that we work on with strategic partnerships. Got a new blade, but some optic mount stuff where we identify gaps to your project.
Wow.
You always get all those team guy little nuance. You know who's going to bitch.
Yeah.
If you don't get this right. So like it's taken us 2 months to make sure, or 2 years to make sure it's right.
That's awesome.
So products, we've grown our dealer network. We're in like 5 countries now.
Wow.
And that whole product piece. And then the strategic partnerships, marketing, we want to add value to brands that we believe in and add value, not just give us something because of our background and make it better for the end users and the people that allow us this freedom still.
Yeah.
And again, like it's a long-term thing. We don't want to be there for a one-night stand, and we're not going to sell our souls because someone will give us $100,000, $1 million in something that we don't believe in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of those 3 buckets.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and book your guys' services for any of those 3 buckets?
So GBRSGroup.com, GBRSGroupGear.com, Instagram, GBRS Group. And kind of you'll find links in there that go through training, gear, everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you want to bring up, talk about, or mention?
A couple things. One, I just want to say I'm sorry to all those parents. Like, heart goes out to them, and kind of all those most recent incidents. But thank you for having me.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love being in Texas.
Yeah.
I don't twist my arm too hard.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to get you down to Virginia Beach.
Dude, I'd love to check it out, man. I haven't been there in quite a while, so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know some of the stuff is tough to talk about, but I appreciate you sharing such an amazing life story that you have. And I want to say, for both me and on behalf of all the listeners, thank you for your service. You've done, an amazing job putting your life on the line and getting your hands dirty for Uncle Sam on our behalf. So we appreciate it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
To you guys, listener, go choke yourself. That's number one. Number two, I hope you enjoyed it. I know I sure did. I'm always humbled and honored to have guests of Cole's caliber, come share their story and sit down on the casting couch. And we collectively appreciate your support, because if it was not there and you guys didn't tune in show after show, I damn sure wouldn't be sitting here doing these. So thank you for your support. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time. And until then, this is Mic Drop.